WTIC launched 2 more call-in shows. Mike Line, a radio roundtable where listeners responded to other listeners' questions and comments, and What's Your Opinion, the first issue-oriented call-in show. Talk radio as we know it.
And 10.
WTIC. The United Way is proud to sponsor this moment in WTIC's history. Together, we are united to end poverty. Learn more at unitedwayinc.org.
This is Reese on the radio, filling in for Todd Feinberg on WTIC News Talk 1080.
He wrote letters, and I know about this, to all of our allies and to Arab states, asking them to abandon their cooperation and coalition with the United States of America. If it's not treasonous, it's borderline treasonous. And so I hear what you're saying about the humanitarianism, but when you're an ex-president and you have served in that office, I think you have a duty to the United States and only to the United States. And when he did that and other instances, to me, it showed that he cared more about his own legacy than he did about the country, and I think that is wrong.
Yeah! What's going on, all you scallywags out there? Holla, holla, and pop your collar. Oh, it's the last show of Reese on the Radio of 2024 on News Talk 1080 WTIC. It is a pleasure to be here with each and every one of you. I am excited. I don't know why it is now. All of a sudden, I got a volume thing going on. At least it looks like a feedback thing going on. I don't know. Whatever the case is, we're going to have a fun time tonight. Just a couple hours. We end the show 6 hours. 6 hours before the ball drops. But I got plenty of stuff to get into today. And tomorrow, I'm going to sort of treat it like an end of year, beginning of year celebration. Today, I'm probably going to say some things that I need to get off my chest about 2024 and about 2025. I will share that with you in due course as we go over things. There is something I want to say about yesterday's show as well, talking about the passing of Jimmy Carter. I'll be the first one to tell you, folks, the timing of Jimmy Carter's passing could not have been more perfect for the way in which 2024 went. And what has happened to our news media, information gathering and sharing across the country. I think that defined 2024. There was a changing of the guard as information goes. People say X took it over. People say social media took it over. People say social media destroyed information gathering in our country. A lot of people have said a lot of things. But most of it means nothing. But we'll get into that. But if you were listening at the top of the hour, that opening monologue piece is Scott Jennings, the last surviving member of the Conservative Party over on CNN. I know there's some other ones over there. They're insignificant compared to Scott Jennings. But if you heard that opening, I want to give you the whole kit and caboodle of what Scott Jennings was sharing. It was an exchange between him and some archivist that was on there trying to salvage the reputation of Jimmy Carter. And Scott Jennings, as I saw across the entire country on talk radio, do what I did yesterday, which shows me that the tide is turning. We must tell the truth. Here's what Scott Jennings said on CNN.
That's why I lost in a landslide after his one term. And if it's possible, I think he was even a worse ex-president because of his meddling in U.S. foreign policy, because of his saddling up to dictators around the world, because of his vehement views, anti-Israel views, and more than dabbling in anti-Semitism over the years. He often vexed Democrats. Obama didn't even have him speak at his '08 convention. He put Bill Clinton in a terrible foreign policy box on a North Korea nuclear issue. I think he was a guy who had a huge ego and believed that he was uniquely positioned to do all these things, even after the American people had roundly and soundly rejected his leadership. So I respect people who run for president and get elected president, but in his particular case, I think he time and again proved why he was never suited for the office in the first place.
I don't often say this, but Scott, I agree with you to a certain extent. President Carter was meddlesome with his successors. He forgot sometimes that he still wasn't president. For all the meddlesome behavior as a post-president, which is well documented, I don't think that it outweighs the contribution that he made as a global citizen.
Now, if you remember yesterday, Craig in the car made that same point in the chat room. And again, I've got no issues with that. Habitat for Humanity, great stuff. Peanut farmer, absolutely great. Governor of Georgia, fantastic legacy. I'm sure people in Georgia loved him. Sure, they still do. But again, there was this.
After he left. Can I just offer one retort, which is this? In the run-up to the Persian Gulf War, he wrote letters
Yeah, I know about this.
to all of our allies and to Arab states, asking them to abandon their cooperation and coalition with the United States of America. If it's not treasonous, it's borderline treasonous. And so I hear what you're saying about the humanitarianism, but when you're an ex-president and you have served in that office, I think you have a duty to the United States and only to the United States. And when he did that and other instances, to me, it showed that he cared more about his own legacy than he did about the country, and I think that is wrong.
Now, I want to make this 100% clear. I'm off the Jimmy Carter thing. I'm off it. But it is illustrative of what we are dealing with right now with the current commander-in-chief, Joe Biden. You see, we can take Jimmy Carter's legacy some 40 years, 50 years down the road and make up whatever we want. Say he was good this, good that, good. But Scott Jennings was having none of that. Talk show hosts across the country were having none of that. And that's exactly what's going to happen with Joe Biden. People are going to try. And I think right now what we're seeing is Joe Biden leaving office. Joe Biden is leaving office with people trying to rewrite the last 4 years. And they're trying to do it before Joe Biden goes to the sweet by and by. Before it becomes 40 years or 10 years or whatever years down the road when he passes away. We all do. And then everyone starts writing the eulogy. But that's why I said the passing of Jimmy Carter was perfect for a time like today. Because no one is going to forget the lies that was said about this president. 046. Before I play this audio clip, I want to give you a backdrop. Numbers suck on radio, so I'm going to try to do this as only a broadcast professional can. There are 1,461 days in 4 years. Again, 1,461 days. President Biden was on vacation for 540 of them. This amounts to 2.441 years. Again, There are 1,461 days in a 4-year period. President Biden was on vacation for 540 of them, maybe even 580. Let me get that number right. I'm being conservative on 540, but let me double check. I want to make sure. My bad. 570 of them. 570 days. That would account for 2.441 years. He was on vacation. Oh, sorry, he was actually working. I apologize. He worked on duty 891 days. That's 2.44 years. That's it. Now, with all of that, with that information, 1461, 891 days in the job, and 570 days out of work. I give you this.
Does the president have the stamina, physically and mentally, do you think, to continue on even after 2024?
Don, you're asking me this question. Oh my gosh, he's the president of the United States. You know, I can't even keep up with him.
The most difficult part about a meeting with President Biden is preparing for it, because he is sharp, intensely probing, and detail-oriented and focused.
I can testify because I've been working very closely with this president for the past 2 years. I've been knowing him for 30 years. And I'm telling you, this guy's tough. He's smart. He's on his game.
Joe Biden has vision. He has knowledge. He has a strategic thinker.
The president is focused. He's detail-oriented. He's always thinking about the big picture.
He is engaging. He is capable. He has an incredible record as president.
And I'm often with him on foreign trips. He's at the top of his game.
So he has a vision, he has knowledge, he has judgment, he has a strategic thinking.
I met with the president, 5 or 6 weeks ago, and he seemed fine to me.
I have complete confidence in the president. I have watched him expertly guide meetings of staff and cabinet members. I could not have more confidence in the president.
I would just tell you that I meet frequently with the president, and every single time I meet with him, he is just fine.
But he is, again, knowledgeable, wise.
Incredibly sharp, incredibly probing, incredible command of the details.
He is sharp. He is on top of things.
There is nothing to these challenges, these suggestions that somehow he's not sharp and he's not capable.
We see Joe Biden up close. We know how attuned he is to the issue.
And you're going to see how smart he is and the experience he has.
I say his age is an asset.
Aha!
He's wise.
Yes, he's wise. He has wisdom. He has experience.
And his experience, because of his age and his wisdom, has been invaluable to this country.
A lot of countries, people who've been in office a longer period of time are praised for their wisdom.
I have seen a lot of 72-year-olds not as capable as this 80-year-old.
It is hard for us to keep up with this president.
His mental acuity is great. It's fine. It's as good as it's been over the years. He's fine. All this right-wing propaganda that his mental acuity has declined is wrong.
And this kind of sense that he's not ready for this job is just a bucket of BS that's so deep, your boots will get stuck in.
Yeah.
What was that? Again, 1,461 days in 4 years. Joe Biden was president or present for 891 of them. He was absent for 570 days. On the job for 2.4 years. You can't rewrite his history. We have those video clips. This is not the 1970s, ladies and gentlemen. This is not the 1980s. We have evidence. We have the articles written in the Wall Street Journal. We have the people on the record saying that this man couldn't get through a cabinet meeting They only held 9 in 4 years. Donald Trump held over 25 of them. This guy was absolutely, he was asleep at the wheel, if he was ever there. It's the biggest scandal known to man. And people will try to tell us, they will try to rewrite this history. Recognize this moment. We are looking at a Joe Biden who's going to be around for a couple of more years. And that day is going to come where his passing comes, and people are going to be on the news media pretending that we don't know what I just showed you, that never happened. The same way that they're trying to do it to Jimmy Carter. It's 3 weeks away. It's incredible. 3 weeks away. And they're still going to try to BS us. Let's go to the phones. 860-522-WTIC. Let's go to Mike in Plainville. How you doing, Mike?
That's despicable.
Yeah, no kidding.
Any assignment or job or detail that I was on, I showed up every day and I did my job. I haven't been late for anything in my life.
Can you imagine that?
This and all these enablers. Oh my God, they're just. I really have to refrain from what I want to say, but it's just disgraceful, and it's an insult that they're going to try to pull this Jimmy Carter propaganda and Biden on us.
Yeah.
Great, wonderful president. I might.
It's
New Year's Eve.
No, listen. I don't want anybody to go into the new year angry about this, but look, it's about time that if we do anything for the new year, we just hold people accountable and we tell the truth. We spent the last year going through the biggest fight of our lives to get the truth out there. I battled with this own top of the hour news feed because of the stories that had to be corrected. And it wasn't like I did it out of malice. It was out of just telling the truth because, again, it's about trust. And people need to trust us. And we need to either tell the truth or we're going to fall into what other networks have done, and that's lose viewers and listeners because we refuse to just be honest about what's happening. And that's all I want.
I have a good feeling about the new year because I arrived at work this afternoon about 12:30, and up I look, and right above my car, 2 beautiful bald eagles just gliding along.
Wow.
Yeah. You don't see them.
I don't even get to see that.
But they're here. They're so beautiful. And I said, you know what? We're going forward, with or without them.
That, my friend, is a good sign. That is a good sign. I can totally appreciate
Happy New
that.
Year.
Thank you, man. Happy New Year to you.
Sir.
We're going to take
Thank
more.
you.
You got it. We're going to take more of your phone calls in a second. I've got so much stuff to get into. Tomorrow, I've got a top 10 list of audio and video for you as well to just start off the new year. So be prepared for that. Today, the stupidest thing I read today dovetails into another story right in Hartford. I don't know if you've heard the story, but it's gone away. But we are going to make sure that we rise from the ashes and rekindle this story. I want you to listen very closely. I don't know if you read the story. You may have missed it. It was in the Hartford Current. I think there was 1 or 2 actual television reports about it. But the story is about a young girl who graduated high school in Hartford and went to UConn. And when she got to UConn, she had to leave because she couldn't read or write. She went to Hartford. She went to school in Hartford. She was pretty much raised there since a young child from Puerto Rico. And she went to class, and now there's a lawsuit pending in Hartford because they graduated this young girl, this poor young lady, and she can't read or write. The story about how she was able to graduate and how this conniving school system made her learn ended up being their very own undoing is coming up in the 4 o'clock hour. You do not want to miss this. And with the story that's in New Jersey, the law that goes into effect tomorrow will blow your mind. I promise you. So stick around. We'll come a whole bunch of other stuff. You want to opine about Jimmy Carter again? You can't do that. We'll do that on the other side of this break. But at 4 o'clock, the stupidest thing I read, and the story about this young girl in Hartford, went to UConn, can't read or write. You do not want to miss it. Let's take a break. We'll be back. It's Reese on the radio, the New Year's edition on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
Hey, basketball fans. It's Liam McNeely, your new freshman recruit. On the court, I know the importance of teamwork. It's not just about one player. It's about the whole team working together to achieve victory. That's why I trust the law firm of Brown, Pandeiros, and Scott. With them, you're not just getting one lawyer. You're getting a law firm with a team of experienced professionals dedicated to your success. They collaborate, strategize, and fight for you every step of the way. Choose the firm that knows the value of teamwork. Visit bpslawyers.com. They're here to win for you.
Follow WTIC News Talk 1080. Don't miss out on important updates in Connecticut, from breaking need-to-know news, weather alerts, and more. Follow WTIC News Talk 1080 on the Odyssey app now.
Hi, I'm Joe with SimpleSaleUSA.com, and I buy houses cash. If you own a house and want to sell it fast at a fair price, call me at 203-896-4000. I can pay cash and close in as little as 7 days. I buy houses in any condition, any price range, and more importantly, anywhere in Connecticut. I'm a private real estate investor who buys several houses a month, and I want to buy more. I buy inherited houses, divorce houses, behind in payment houses. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. Do you own a house that is trash and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great, because I love buying junk houses. I buy vacant houses, abandoned houses, condemned houses, and even foreclosure houses. If you own a house and want to sell it fast, call me at 203-896-4000. That's 203-896-4000. 203-896-4000.
And now, a WTIC News Update.
49 degrees in Hartford at 3:30. I'm Dave Mager, WTIC 1080 News. High this afternoon staying right around 49. Some rain tonight starting around 9 p.m. or so. Low around 40 degrees overnight. Bells tolling, the sound of the new year in Tokyo. Worldwide celebrations continue all the way through American Samoa, which will strike midnight at 6 a.m. our time tomorrow. In Hartford, it's first night with a long list of events ongoing. Food trucks and vendors are out there on Trinity Street. The Bushnell Park Carousel and Winterfest ice skating are open. There are family-friendly art activities, live music, dancing, and more. There will be fireworks at 6 p.m. and midnight. More details at firstnighthartford.org. And yes, event director Jeff Devereaux says everything is going on as planned despite the chance of rain tonight.
We're obviously crossing our fingers. There's no downpour, but we've shot the fireworks in the rain, even in a light rain before, and we'll do so again if need be.
In New York City, organizers say 1 million people will be in Times Square to watch the ball drop. Security is tight across the board, although no specific threats have been reported. It's lights out in Puerto Rico. There's a New Year's Eve blackout across the island. CBS's Alanis Quiñones is there.
At about 5:30 in the morning, a failure was reported at the Costa Sur power plant, an underground power line that left nearly all Puerto Ricans in complete darkness. The reason why this happened is yet to be determined, but with the New Year's Eve celebrations just a few hours away, people are getting anxious.
The electric company says it could take a few days to restore power. Hartford police report a shooting at about 12:45 this afternoon. They say a man in his 20s suffered a non-life-threatening gunshot wound. He was found at 224 South Marshall Street after a shot spotter notification. The victim is hospitalized. On Wall Street, the Dow is down 30 points, S&P down 19, NASDAQ down 114 in the final half hour of trading this year. Sports, NHL Washington beat the Bruins 3-1. NBA Celtics and Toronto, they are scoreless and they're underway in the first quarter. College football, Fiesta Bowl National Quarterfinal tonight, Penn State and Boise State. For more, check out WTIC.com. I'm Dave Maker, WTIC 1080 News.
Hi, Tom Shattuck here. I, for one, like a sure bet, putting my money up, knowing I'll win. That's why I bet on Awaken 180. It was a sure thing, and the results proved it to all of us. Start your new year out knowing you'll reach your goal. Awaken180weightloss.com.
Columbia Implant Center introduces AI technology to our multi-specialty practice and digital lab. We fabricate teeth replacement with efficiency, quality, and accuracy. 1 day, same day, 7 days. Call 860-730-6020 or visit ColumbiaImplantCenter.com.
Are you tired of high cable TV rates? Sign up for Dish today and get a $500 bonus offer while supplies last. Plus, lock in your price for 2 years guaranteed. Call All-American Dish.
Hey, Roland,
your
have you
Dish
heard
authorized
Redman's
retailer
new
now.
album yet?
800-296.
Nah, I haven't.
Okay, so the only track that I'm messing with right now is La 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 with Method Man. I love that record.
When that just dropped?
Yeah, the album Muddy Waters 2.
There's a price war in the
Oh, okay, Muddy Waters 2. All right,
Yeah,
cool.
Muddy Waters 2, and he's got a couple of music videos from there. You don't want to see me rich. Got a music video. New Jersey or Jersey's got a music video. Oh, and
Protect your family today.
on my BS, that's got a music video.
Oh, yeah, I saw that one already.
Yeah. That was actually I like that song.
866-549-TERM. 866-549-TERM.
I only like the music video for the light-skinned girl.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. The IRS just rolled out a new program to help struggling taxpayers more easily resolve their tax problems. It's called the Taxpayer Relief Initiative,
the
and
track
it
he's
opens
got
up
with
powerful
Method
new
Man,
options for
La La
people
La,
looking to
it's
get
like-
back on the right track
it
with the
makes you-
IRS.
they gotta do another
and
album
no one knows
together.
this program
They
like the
just have to.
professionals at Optima Tax Relief.
They're probably working on it.
Tax Resolution Company. They've resolved over $1 billion in tax debt for their clients and have the expertise and experience to help you. One easy call to Optima can start the process, helping to put an end to your worries of wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other aggressive IRS action.
I got a real
The beginning of your fresh
got a
start
real
with
what?
the IRS.
real dope beat coming up.
Optima Tax Relief now for your free.
One of my favorites right now is a new song too.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, but anytime they combine the new with the old and it comes out right, that's when it's good. A lot of times they try it and it don't come out right.
Yeah.
But when they get it right, and they combine that old school with the new school, yeah, this beat fire.
Dropping new episodes for every single playoff game. And that's going to be storylines leading into it, so some good football stuff, but also the betting nuggets you're looking for. Sides, totals, trends, player props, throw those in there too.
Oh no, we might have to get this thing fixed because sometimes you can't hear me on punching.
Yeah.
The Odyssey app, it's weird. Wherever you get your
It might have a shorten here. It had a shorten, and they had to replace it before.
Oh, okay.
Why try Hims for weight loss? If you're interested in
Got a
personalized
weird color
prescription
thing
options,
going on
including
mine.
Ozempic, Wegovy, oral medications, and
OBS,
compounded
driving me
GLP-1
crazy.
injections, and the support to see real results, you might like it. Why try Hims to regrow hair? If a range of treatment options made with clinically proven ingredients like minoxidil and finasteride for thicker, fuller hair in 3 to
Son
6
of a
months
gun.
sound good, you might like it. Why try Hims for ED? If you've been looking for access to doctor-trusted treatments like Viagra, Cialis,
How weird
and
is
their
this?
more affordable generic counterparts, you and your partner might like it. The Hims process is simple, 100% online, and treatments are shipped free to your door in discreet packaging if prescribed. What's not to like? To save big on weight
I'm
loss,
messing
hair
with
loss,
my
and ED solutions,
lighting.
get started today at hims.com. That's hims.com.
Have you ever
1 minute.
first time and then wondered how you ever got along without it? That's how thousands of new Navage users describe their first experience. Once they feel sinus relief and can breathe clearly again, many wonder why it took them so long to experience the Navage difference. Navage uses refreshing saline and gentle suction to quickly suck out mucus, germs, and other airborne irritants. Stop suffering from congestion and start feeling better again with Navage. Brand new look, same great product.
I'm a pretty great multitasker. I can wash dishes and do laundry. I can roller skate while walking my dog. I can even order lunch while doing my homework. but I can't use my phone while driving. A distracted driver is one of the leading causes of death in the United States.
Yeah, I'm seeing 10.
Driving, please, don't be a multitasker.
Don't drive distracted. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
What's up, everybody? You know who it is. You know who it is. You know who it is. It's Reese on the radio. Frederick Douglass of the 21st century.
It's WTIC News Talk 1080.
Oh, that's not bad at all. Oh, Eric B. and Rakim blend going on there. I like that. Reese on the radio. News Talk 1080 WTIC.
Told you it was dope.
Yeah, not bad. It is New Year's Eve, a New Year's Eve edition to the show. People are online saying, what's going on with your video? It's something weird. It's a lighting problem. It happens all the time. That's what happens when you use green screen on your video. So it's going to look a little weird until I fix it. Anyway, I don't have time to do it now. It's just going to have to wait until the commercial break to fix it. So just deal. That's not important anyway. So we're getting to your phone calls in a second, so stick around for that. I just want to make sure that I get it out tomorrow for the New Year's show. We will be here. I know a lot of you will not be or taking the day off. That means you can sit at home and enjoy the show. I'll make it entertaining. What are you going to be doing on New Year's Day and everything? The excitement happens at midnight to 1, 2 o'clock when you decide that it's over and the party is over. You're going to be sleeping well until noon. You'll wake up, and then you can tune in and watch Reese on the radio with the family. I'll be here. I'm not going to be doing anything. The beauty of it is I'll be preparing all day for a New Year's show for you. And as Rama said, I used to do this back in 2015. I've always come up with something, I guess, rhyme-related for the new year. So Rama reminded me, he said, so in this new year, you will say that you're kicking it live in the 2-5. That's right, 100%. He is on point. Reese on the radio, kicking it live in the 2-5. Yes, it's dad corny. I know it is. I don't mind. But I'll also be keeping it 100 in 25 as well because WTIC will be celebrating its 100th year anniversary in February. I think it's February 18th. Do we know exactly what the date is, Roland? Do you not know? I couldn't find it. I should go look it up. But we'll be celebrating the 100-year anniversary of WTIC. It's in February.
Yeah.
Do you know what date?
I think it's the 9th, but I
You think it's the 9th? Okay, well, if you can find out real quick, see if you can find out. So we'll be doing that as well. So we're going to do a whole bunch of stuff in 25, no matter what the outcome is. And, of course, we're going to be celebrating 100 years of the station, which I think is going to be great. It is quite the milestone for any radio station. Dougie C is in the house. Happy New Year to you, sir. Craig is in the chat room. Michael B says Redman has some fire coming out right now. And, yep, the album, I think, came out on Christmas Eve. So you can check that out as well. Now let's get to the phones. 860-522-WTIC. Joe's in New Hampshire. How you doing, buddy? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. I've got several important things to get through you as time allows me. Number one, I didn't get to this yesterday because, time ran out on me. That gasoline shortage, with the...
Carter administration?
Yeah. One phenomenon that happened, I lived through this too, and I was scared stiff. You know how you have catalytic converter theft right now?
Oh, yeah.
Been rampant.
Yeah.
Well, catalytic converter, there were catalytic converters back in 79, 80, but there wasn't theft like now. But the big theft was gasoline. People started
siphoning. That's right.
Parking lots everywhere. People parked outside. They lived in apartments, even in private driveways. And, so people would go out and, try to look for lockable gas caps. The cars back then were different. And there was a shortage of lockable gas caps within a few weeks. And then they started puncturing the gas tank from underneath to make the gas come out of the tank, and then you had a
Wow,
real
you
problem.
literally right now, you are taking me through every, what do you call it, police procedural I ever grew up watching. Like, in particular, Beretta, Starsky and Hutch, like all of those TV shows featured one of those crimes taking place.
Yes. And the other thing with that, because of the gas lines, and people as often as not couldn't find a gas station that had any more gas, or they, waiting in line. When they were able to get gas, there was a shortage of gas cans after a few weeks. The people with gas cans, they would bring the gas cans, and limit was 10 gallons. Well, they'd have a 5-gallon can, 2-gallon can, put the gas in their car because they couldn't risk running out of gas. People were running out of gas all over the place on the highway because they just couldn't get gas.
Yeah.
And it was a major, major problem. Lack of gasoline cans and running out of gas.
I had a foster father who would keep the cans on the side of the house for a little while, and then someone stole one of the cans, and then he would just put them in the garage. But he didn't want to leave them in the garage originally because he was deathly afraid of a fire or getting too hot in there and like starting a fire.
That leads to my next point. What started happening, rear end collisions were setting off explosions. The cars that had the gas cans, there were a lot of back then, rear end collisions or traffic accidents in general, there were cars like blowing up. The gasoline cans were like Molotov cocktails.
Wow.
And that was all over the place. Thank you, President Carter. You were humanitarian.
Yeah, it was an interesting.
I lived through it. I was in my 20s.
I know it was an interesting time. Like I said, I remember it as a child, but I grew up going through it. And thank you, Joe. I appreciate you. But the thing that I grew up with the most remembering was how violent and volatile it was in the 70s, aside from the blackouts. I know you remember the 77 blackout. But during that time, during the blackouts, which I always, I used to think that maybe I was remembering this different, or as Roger Clemens once called it, misremembering. The 44 caliber killer, David Berkowitz, I guess people looking for him, or when he was out on the prowl, was during the 77 blackout in New York. And I remember that vividly as a kid. Also the year that Elvis died. Dave is in Brantford. How you doing, Dave?
Okay, I got to get up. Reese, Happy New Year.
Thank you.
I'll
Happy
be
New Year.
having Zima and lamb chops tonight is, the big thing. And we will be boring watching Dick Clark's New Year's Rockin' Eve. Not that it's the best one. It's just the history of my family. I have a thing about Biden I'd like to tell you.
Sure.
I was reading USA Today yesterday. I don't generally because it's too woke, but because Carter died, I wanted a little collection of different papers.
Sure.
So there was a story about a week ago. Biden had only given about 15 words of response to the public available press on his trip to Peru and Brazil and then Angola this month. And he simply had no access to the press. And so he's not doing his job. And so yesterday's USA Today, there was a historic Angola trip, owns slavery's past. Apparently he brought today's descendant of a slave from 400 years ago. She was part of she came back on the Air Force One, I guess.
Okay.
And here's the unintentional humor. There's a full story on page 3, a picture, and I'm going to read the caption, a full color picture.
Please.
Angolan officials and dignitaries waited on December 3rd for President Joe Biden to arrive at the National Slavery Museum in Angola. Does that capture his entire presidency? What was he, asleep? Did he fall asleep in a hammock? Did he get lost? And there's no explanation in the story about why was he late? Why were they waiting for him to arrive? And they're holding umbrellas. It was obviously drizzly or something. And doesn't that encapsulate Biden's whole deal?
Yeah, it does. And like I said, what we're going to do is, look, history is going to write this presidency, whether we like it or not, and they're going to write it in the way in which they are. They're either going to be incredibly favorable of him, but I want to know how far of foot they are going to go in writing this story, because
they're still covering for lazy.
Oh, yeah,
Florida.
exactly. I mean, the CBS, what was her name? Jan, oh, gosh, she was on CBS this weekend, and like every news outlet is talking about it, says the most underreported story was the cognitive decline of Joe Biden. It wasn't underreported. You guys were calling it a conspiracy theory. It wasn't underreported.
I don't know if 24 was your big break, but God, when Todd hasn't been with us the last 6 months, God knows you ran as fast and as far as you could with that football. I'm very pleased with what you've done. Happy New Year.
Thank you, man. Happy New Year to you as well. Yeah, look, I was the one who called it, and we're going to do this tomorrow, okay? Because we're going to talk about the top 10 stories of the year that the media completely botched. But we're also going to talk about the top 5 stories that yours truly covered right here on this network. And was astonishingly correct. George is in Vernon. How we doing, George?
Good. How are you?
Pretty good. What do you got?
Yeah. As I let you know, that I think Donald Trump played more golf than any other president. And
he played more golf than Bush? Because according to Fahrenheit 9/11, one of the biggest gripes about George W. Bush was while the war in Iraq was going on, he was busy golfing.
There you go.
No. I mean, that was one of the gripes. And in fact, it turns out that was nonsense.
With your previous caller, who yesterday made this kind of comment of the flag being half staff for 30 days and the New York Stock Exchange being closed for the day of the funeral.
Okay.
Jimmy Carter's funeral. That is something that's been going on for years. So he kind of was very playing the game there of, I don't want to make it look like it's a conspiracy, but I heard that they're going to close the New York Stock Exchange for his funeral.
For his funeral? There's a likelihood. I mean, not that it would be a horrible thing if they did that.
Passes away, they close the stock market. So,
is that a bad thing? I'm not following, George. I apologize. I'm trying to, but I can't follow at all. I'm trying. I'm really, really trying. I appreciate it. Roland, was that important on the hotline?
No.
No. Okay. All right. White Mike is in Florida. Oh, you know what? Mike, hold on. I'm sorry. Let me put you on hold. We'll get back to White Mike when we get back from the break, because I'm sure he wants to opine about this as well. All right, so we got to take a break now, but stick around. We'll be back. More news, more views, your phone calls. Don't forget the 4 o'clock hour. The stupidest thing I read today will dovetail into another story that's happening right in Hartford. Young lady graduated from high school in Hartford, went to UConn, had to leave the school because she couldn't read or write. And how they found out the teachers were doing this is amazing. They actually hoisted by their own petard, as they say. We'll return. It's Reese on the radio on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
What is dedication?
The thing that drives me every day as a dad is Dariana. We call him Day for short. Every day he's hungry for something, whether it's attention, affection, knowledge. And there's this huge responsibility in making sure that when he's no longer under my wing, that he's a good person. I think the advice I would give is you don't need to know all the answers. The craziest thing was believing that your dad knew everything. So as a dad, you felt like you had to know everything. You had to get everything right. It's okay to make mistakes. As long as it's coming from love, then, it kind of starts to work itself out. I want him to be able to sit back one day and go, we worked together, we did a good job.
That's dedication. Find out more at fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Don't let winter catch you off guard. Be prepared with an Aaron's snow thrower. Every Aaron's 2-stage snow thrower is handcrafted in the USA with powerful engines that won't bog down in any condition. Aaron's builds the toughest machines for the worst conditions with a model to fit every need, including features like hand warmers, electric joystick chute control, and auto turn steering. Throw back what old man winter dishes out with an Aaron's, the king of snow. Visit your local independent Aaron's dealer today.
Since 1941, the Community Foundation of Greater New Britain has assisted individuals, families, and local organizations in central Connecticut with establishing charitable funds and scholarships that create a lasting and impactful philanthropic legacy. So if you've ever had the desire to learn how you can establish your own charitable fund or scholarship, go to our Community Foundation of Greater New Britain website at cfgnb.org. That's cfgnb.org.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS.
Oh, minute.
You to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6481. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at or call 800-575-6481. That's 800-575-6481. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
You're listening to Reese on the Radio, filling in today for Todd Feinberg on WTIC News Talk 1080.
All right, back to the phones we go. Reese on the Radio. Here's White Mike in Florida. What's going on, buddy?
Hey, man. So, wow, sounds like that last caller might have gotten to his afternoon bourbon a bit hard this evening.
I don't know, maybe. What's going on?
You know, there's a major story that's happened in the world that no news organization covers in any depth.
Okay.
Not even Fox News or Newsmax. Nobody talks about BRICS.
Yeah, not anymore. There was a little talk about it this summer, but it's completely gone. But it wasn't. In fact, I won't even go so far as like early spring. There were conversations about it, and I do remember last year there was a meeting between Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin, where they said that there was about to be a change coming that hasn't been recognized in 100 years.
Yes, they are planning to bring the Arabs into BRICS or approach the Arab countries with such economic force that they want to change the way crude oil is priced.
Exactly.
And change it from the dollar to the ruble or the yuan or whatever. And nobody mentions that this is on the horizon.
It's so funny because you're right about that. In fact, immediately after, I think the polls started, it was just around Election Day. I know it wasn't after it had been called for Donald Trump. But right around the time when the polling data suggested that Donald Trump was looking like a surefire win and it looked like it was going to be historic, there was one story, and it was out of the intelligentsia that said that Vladimir Putin was talking about, before that, was talking about how changing the petrodollar from the U.S. dollar and having a discussion with China, as you just said, and so what currency was going to be used, the new petrodollar. Was the big argument, in essence, removing the dollar.
And Trump has mentioned BRICS just recently. He said something about sanctions on BRICS member nations, and that's great.
Yes.
I think we should take it further. We should bar any citizen of a nation which is a member of BRICS, which means Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, for those who don't know. They should all be barred from attending university in America.
Ooh.
Period. There is no reason.
You wouldn't go one step further than that? You wouldn't go one step further? I mean, UN, NATO, none of that?
No, I just say you can't come to college here. And if you are a citizen of those nations, you're in college here, we're kicking you out immediately. Get out. Because our students shouldn't have to compete for limited spaces with these people from nations that are our enemies. And don't fool yourself. They're all our enemies.
Oh,
Brazil's our enemy. Russia's our enemy. China's our enemy. India could go either way, but I don't trust the Indians as far as I can throw them.
You're absolutely. Every one of those nations you just mentioned, there has always been this teetering relationship with them if you consider who the president of the United States is at the time. They can, and Bricks is a perfect example of a feckless leader allowing that to happen right under his nose, and there'll be reports about it everywhere and never address it.
So if you were a sharp American kid, I'll just use University of Florida as an example. Okay, UF is just about as difficult to get into as an Ivy League school. That's how hard it is to get into UF. You have to have great SAT or ACT. You have to have great grades, extracurriculars, and hope for it. But their engineering program is filled with Indians.
Yeah,
Why
it
are they
is.
there?
You're 100% right, which is why we're having the conversation about the H-1B visas right now. It's exactly what they're conversation. I got to go to a hard break, Mike, but you're 100% right. And you know what? We're gonna have this discussion this year. I promise you, buddy. Let's get to the Let's get to the BPS Traffic Center with Tom Hanlon filling in for Mark Christopher today.
I'm Tom O'Hanlon from the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. 84 looks pretty good in either direction, eastbound and westbound. Now, if you're heading down 91, we're tapping the brakes just a bit through North Meadows, but not a big deal. Otherwise, doing well. 91 northbound, we are moving. Wilbur Cross traffic is still pretty light, and we are looking good on routes 2 and 3. Traffic and weather together on the 8s. WTIC News Talk 1080.
Follow
Tom O'Hanlon's got quite the
News Talk
voice.
1080. Don't miss out on important updates in Connecticut. From breaking need-to-know news, weather alerts, and more. Follow WTIC News Talk 1080 on the Odyssey app now. WTIC weather.
Wrapping up 2024 on our Tuesday afternoon with a mild day as the sunshine gives way to some clouds. The high of 52. Now we'll get some rain during the evening, ending after midnight. Could impact outdoor New Year's Eve celebrations. The low down to 39. Then for New Year's Day, Wednesday, cloudy, breezy, still mild. We'll have a passing shower or two in the afternoon. The high of 50. Thursday, a mix of clouds and sun. It'll be windy and cooler and feeling cold with a high of 40 and a strong west wind. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina in the WTIC Weather Center.
When winter weather hits, you can depend on WTIC News Talk 1080 to get you through every storm. With weather, Bob Cox in the WTIC Weather Center working around the clock to give you the latest, most accurate winter weather forecasts. With traffic, Mark Christopher and the WTIC traffic team will get you around the tie-ups. With news, the WTIC news team will have all the important news updates related to every storm. So when winter weather hits, WTIC News Talk 1080 is your most trusted source for the winter information you need. There's a lot happening in Washington and in your local neighborhood. Follow WTIC News Talk 1080 on the Odyssey app to keep up with the latest. WTIC is 99 and throwing a year-long celebration to 100 years on the air. This is WTIC and WTIC FM HD2 Hartford. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
48 degrees, 4 o'clock. I'm Dave Mager, WTIC 1080 News. Midnight struck earlier in Taiwan as the world celebrates 2025. In Hartford, first night is underway with family-friendly art activity at the Old State House, the Hartford Public Library, Theater Works, Center Church, and City Place. There are fireworks at 6 and midnight at Bushnell Park and much more. This is event director Jeff Devereaux.
We have plenty going on here on Trinity Street. I'm staring down at it now. We have over a dozen food trucks. We have a Sky Bar. We have a main stage that'll be programmed before each of the fireworks displays. We got over a dozen venues in and around downtown.
And Jeff says all events will go on as scheduled, even if it rains. The main stage hosted by Hot 93.7 DJs. More details at firstnighthartford.org. State police urging drivers to be safe on this New Year's Eve. Here's WTIC's John Silva.
As the calendar flips to 2025, state troopers will be undertaking a holiday traffic enforcement detail. Many will be heading off to parties, others returning home after the long holiday break. Whatever the case, CSP Commanding Officer Colonel Daniel Lockman says they want drivers to be their partners in following traffic laws and keeping highways free of hazards. Troopers say that means ditching distractions, driving the speed limit, and using signals when turning or changing lanes, also not driving while impaired. Last year's numbers saw 222 crashes, over 3,200 calls for service, 36 DUI arrests, and 119 motorist assists. John Silva, WTIC 1080 News.
In New York City, organizers claim 1 million people will be in Times Square to watch the ball drop. Security is tight across the board.
Streets around Times Square closed to traffic, sand trucks blocking them. People coming in for the big celebration going through designated checkpoints. Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch.
Spectators should expect to be screened by our counterterrorism officers.
The commissioner saying no backpacks, large bags, umbrellas, or alcohol are among the things banned. Police say they take into account what's happening overseas when planning security, like the recent Christmas market attack in Germany. Julie Walker, New York.
A team of U.S. investigators, including officials from Boeing, have examined the site of an airline disaster in South Korea. 179 people were killed in the crash Sunday. Inspections are being conducted on all Boeing 737s in that country. The Biden administration announces new sanctions against Iran and Russia.
These latest sanctions target individuals and entities for interference in the recent presidential election. The Treasury Department says Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps and Russia's main intelligence division aim to stoke social and political tensions and influence voters. It accuses them of seeking to divide Americans through targeted disinformation campaigns.
CBS's Cammie McCormick reporting. A military appeals court has ruled against an effort by Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin to throw out plea deals for 3 9/11 defendants. The agreements are back on track as a result. They would have the 3 men plead guilty in exchange for being spared the death penalty. Wall Street just closed out 2024. Dow is down 29 points, S&P dropping 25, NASDAQ off 176. But the big picture is excellent. For this year, the Dow gained about 13%. The S&P gained 24%, and the NASDAQ was up 31%. Sports, UConn basketball tomorrow afternoon, the men at DePaul, the women at Marquette. NHL this afternoon, a final, Washington 3, Boston 1. NBA second quarter, Celtics 30, Toronto 20. And college football's Fiesta Bowl national quarterfinal tonight, Penn State and Boise State. For more, check out WTIC.com. I'm Dave Maker. WTIC 1080 News.
I wish I'd gotten treated for my erectile dysfunction sooner.
1 minute.
I hear this all the time from our patients. This is Dale for Northeast Men's Health. And if ED is a problem in your life, resolve to get it treated today. And stop having it affect you and the one you love. ED is simply a medical condition. It's fully treatable. And at Northeast Men's Health, we have treatments that are effective in well over 90% of cases, which means if you're like most guys, your ED will be a thing of the past. In fact, you could be having great sex within a day or two of your first appointment, and you'll also likely find you're performing like you haven't in a long time. It's the new year. Resolve to get your ED treated and change your life. Call us at Northeast Men's Health. Your initial visit is only $99 and includes blood work, a medical consult, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if that test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. Call 800-930-1010 or go to northeastmenshealth.com. We have 5 offices: Salem, New Hampshire, Dedham, Marlborough, Woburn, Farmington, Connecticut. Northeast Men's Health, a Promedic restorative health practice.
You're listening to Reese on the Radio, filling in today for Todd Feinberg on WTIC News Talk 1080.
And we're back. It's Reese on the Radio, which means it's time for...
This could very well be the stupidest person on the face of the earth.
Do I look that stupid? Yes, you do.
Listen closely to this story. I still can't believe that it's true, but it happened. Tomorrow, teachers will no longer need to pass basic reading, writing, and math as a test for certification in New Jersey. A New Jersey law removes the requirement for teachers to pass a reading, writing, and mathematics test for certification and will go into effect tomorrow. The law, Act 1669, was passed by Democratic Governor Phil Murphy as part of the state's 2025 budget in June in an effort to address a shortage of teachers in the state, according to the New Jersey Monitor. Individuals seeking an instructional certificate will no longer need to pass basic skills administered by the state's Commissioner of Education. Quote, "We need more teachers." That according to Democratic Senator Jim Beach, who sponsored the bill. He said this is the best way to get them. New Jersey is especially in need of math and science teachers, according to an annual report from the state's education department. Just months earlier, Governor Murphy signed a bill into law that created an alternative pathway for teachers to sidestep testing requirements. A powerful teachers union, the New Jersey Education Association, was the driving force behind that bill, calling the testing requirement an unnecessary barrier for entering the profession. I say that on the backdrop of this. There is a girl who we'll talk about in the next break. Her name's Alicia. I spoke to her lawyer before the holiday, who is suing the Department of Education in Hartford for $3 million. They deserve more. Because this young lady, who's now, I think, 19 years old, cannot read or write, and she was accepted into UConn. We'll break down that story when we return. Plus your phone calls at 860-522-WTIC, 860-522-9842. Now filling in for Mark Christopher in the BPS Traffic Center, here's Tom O'Hanlon.
I'm Tom O'Hanlon from the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. 84 is moving westbound and eastbound through Hartford. 91 southbound still tapping the brakes a bit in North Meadows. We're okay through Hartford. Then in Rocky Hill approaching 91 southbound exit 23. Watch out for a crash right there at the off-ramp. The right shoulder is closed. Wilbur Cross is looking good as of now. We're moving on routes 2 and 3. Traffic and weather together on the 8s. WTIC News Talk 1080.
WTIC weather.
Rest of this afternoon turning out cloudy and mild. Temperatures not far from 50 degrees. For tonight, rain will come to an end after midnight. Now, any outdoor New Year's Eve celebrations and travel can be impacted by the rainfall. Later on tonight, just a few lingering showers, a low of 39. Tomorrow, cloudy, breezy, and mild. A passing shower or two in the afternoon, high temperature 50. For tomorrow night, mostly cloudy and breezy, low 35. Heading into Thursday, clouds and some sunshine, windy and cooler with a high temperature reaching around 40 degrees. Right now it's 49 in Windsor, 51 in East Hartford, and 50 in Hartford. This is meteorologist Bob Smurbeck in the WTIC Weather Center.
Sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Make sure your family is well taken care of with life insurance. Protect your phones, laptops, and more with electronic device insurance, and cover your furry friends with pet health insurance. Join us this Sunday for Tumulo Financial, your go-to for retirement planning and taxes. Tune in to the father and son duo from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. or catch the replay from 5 to 6 p.m. Tumulo Financial Retirement Planning with Integrity on WTIC News Talk 1080.
Hi, this is Joel Johnson with Johnson Brunetti. Do not make mistakes when it comes to Social Security decisions. Get our free guide, Social Security Decisions. Call or text the word security to request your copy. 1-800-705-1232. Call or text the word security to 1-800-705-1232 to get your free guide. 1-800-705-1232.
Investment advisory services offered through JB Capital, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Insurance products offered through JN Financial, LLC.
1 minute.
One person's personal information is another person's treasure.
Exactly. That's why I use NordVPN every time I surf the web. Features like Threat Protection Pro's safeguard devices from phishing websites and disable intrusive ads and trackers. Just check NordVPN.com, grab the deal, and see for yourself. NordVPN. Cybersecurity built for every day.
Trust and Will knows that we'll all eventually need a will. How about right now? Trust and Will makes creating your will easy, like while you're lounging on the couch easy. Trust and Will is designed by attorneys but customized by you, and all documents are state-specific and secure. Find your plan at trustandwill.com and use offer code now for 10% off. That's trustandwill.com, offer code RADIO. Trust and Will is an online estate planning service. Visit trustandwill.com for details.
Stay locked in. Reese on the radio is on WTIC News Talk 1080.
That sounds like some weird African, like world music. I don't even know what that is. There it is. See, it sounds like world music. No.
That's a little Skip Marley for you.
I know nothing about the Marley family. It's Reese on the radio, News Talk 1080 WTIC. Kathleen Walsh from Blue Lives Matter in Connecticut. Happy New Year to you as well. Susan, also in the chat room. Cap Tooth is also there. Fritz and Chrissy, Happy New Year to all of you. Rama says that Tom O'Hanlon sounds a little like Ted Knight from, from Caddyshack and Too Close for Comfort. He's like Ted Knight with traffic and weather. He's got a news guy's voice. It's like distinct. I'm a big fan of radio voices. I don't have one. People say I do, but I don't know what they're talking about. Before I get to your phone calls, Tom and Lori, please hold on for me, but you're going to enjoy this. I shouldn't say enjoy. That's really, you're probably going to be just as peeved as I am about this. I want to go to the sort of a adjoining story, for lack of a better word, as opposed to the story about the young lady. This is a article from December 19th on WFSB. Hartford Public Schools announced today that the Hartford Board of Education approved a 3-year contract for teachers with significant improvements in compensation, a reduced workday, and incentives to address the recruitment and retention of teachers. 5 of the board's active members voted to approve the new contract with the Hartford Federation of Teachers on Tuesday night. 2 board members abstained. Good on you. Salaries for teachers will see an average increase of 15% over 3 years. Here's another story, also from the Hartford Current. Hartford school teachers get significant raise, shorter workday in new 3-year contract. This story, the next day. Hartford teachers will get a 15% average salary increase over 3 years under a new contract. And goes on, talking about the Hartford Board of Education. Now, mind you, while that story is happening, you have this story. Connecticut high school grad who can't read sues Hartford. A former Hartford public school student with a disability who alleges she graduated without the ability to read or write filed a lawsuit in Hartford Superior Court on Friday against the City of Hartford Local Board of Education and the special education case manager in the district. In her complaint, Alicia Ortiz, who's now 19, alleges that she was bullied, harassed, and or neglected by staff in the school district, including her special education case manager. The lawsuit alleges negligent infliction of emotional distress and negligence. Ortiz is seeking $3 million in damages, according to her attorney, Anthony Spinella. Spinella said, quote, "We're not suing for any services. We're not suing for their inability to teach her basic skills. We're suing for the emotional damage that was caused when Ortiz went through the process of trying to get the district to help her and how she was treated by some administrators and teachers. She was bullied, but not by kids." Christian Corza, the deputy chief of staff for the city of Hartford, and Jennifer Hokenhull, the chair of the Hartford Board of Education, said they were unable to comment on ongoing litigation. The legal filing marks the second lawsuit filed by Ortiz and comes months after the Connecticut Mirror published an investigation about Ortiz's educational experience that included a review of audio recordings with district officials, her student records, and other documents. In that story, Ortiz said she not only experienced educational neglect and was never provided proper services, but she was also ridiculed by staff. In her first lawsuit, which was a special education due process complaint and handled by special education attorney Courtney Spencer, Ortiz sought services to learn how to read and write, and other things that she thought wasn't taught to her at the public school system. Spencer said that the complaint is still in progress. The new complaint is rooted in allegations that Tilda Santiago, a special education case manager for Ortiz from September of 2022 through May of 23, bullied and harassed the high schooler for several months. The complaint alleges that Santiago exhibited controlling and possessive behaviors when it came to other teachers that would speak to help Ortiz or would raise her voice and engage in conflict with those teachers. The lawsuit also said that Santiago would yell and belittle and ridicule and humiliate Ortiz in front of other students and teachers. She verbally abused and belittled and intimidated the student and would stalk her during school hours and altered her attendance records. The lawsuit also alleges that several people employed under the Hartford Board of Education did not timely and adequately address reports of misconduct against Ortiz. Despite the reports of the administration, nothing was done to timely or adequately address Tilda Santiago's inappropriate and prohibited conduct, except that Assistant Principal Elvis Minga removed Tilda Santiago as the plaintiff's case worker approximately 4 weeks before the end of 22 to 23 school year because of the dysfunctional relationship between Tilda Santiago and the plaintiff. Now, why is it that we know this lawsuit's going to go through? Well, because her attorney, Anthony Spinella, has told me that they told Alicia when she got into class, because she couldn't read or write anything, she was to record everything. Because the only way she could learn is by listening. She couldn't read or write. So she had every interaction with teachers and administrators recorded. We have them on tape. So this, in fact, is going to destroy all of them. To watch and read these stories about the Hartford school system talking about how they're going to get more money, how they're going to get a shorter workday, how they're going to get more benefits while they railroad this young lady, socially graduate her and put her in an environment where she's going to fail miserably, fall flat on her face, and they think they should get a raise for it? Come on, man. The story should be everywhere. This is a Puerto Rican girl, a 19-year-old girl. No one's talking about it. It's a couple of reports here and there, but this isn't on the top. I mean, this isn't on the top of everyone's mind in Hartford, Connecticut. Didn't the governor just hire somebody at $175,000 to be the head of the Equity and Inclusion Department of the government? This should be order number one. Shouldn't it? 860-522-WTIC. Thomas in Thomaston. How you doing, Tom?
Hey, yeah, that's it just makes your blood boil.
Doesn't it?
I am so happy she's got everything taped. I hope every one of those tapes gets out, and you hear exactly what the teacher said to this girl and stuff.
I mean, everybody knew it was going on. This was no hidden, like, she wasn't secretly recording her classrooms. This is what they told her to do, knowing she couldn't read or write. Not one person worked on teaching her how to read or write.
Well, it just goes to show that those teachers don't have a lot of sense then anyway.
Exactly.
I don't know what makes me more mad, that story or the New Jersey story.
Yeah. Listen, that's the whole thing, is that nobody touches the teachers. You can't touch them, right? You can't say anything about them at all. They are the sacred lambs of the Democrat Party. How dare you attack them?
Oh, of course. But the one good thing in New Jersey now, maybe since the standards are so low, maybe they could hire all the illegal aliens to be teachers, and then teach all the kids
exactly
Spanish, Haiti. What is Haiti's French?
Yeah,
Guyana,
French. Yeah.
Or,
or patois.
We'll be, yeah, all those languages. And there's a lot of Chinese coming in. We can learn China.
Yeah.
And,
it'll
we'll
be,
not
and you know what?
We'll be.
And here's the best part, Tom. Tom, here's the best part. They can have a liberal activist dream, because all of those classes would now be segregated.
Yeah. And Reese, that ties into that first clip you played earlier about President Carter.
Yeah.
He put the started the National
Board of Education
and whatnot, the education department. That totally screwed everything up. The more I think about it, I've been thinking that Biden was the worst president. But the more I think about it, Biden was just in it for himself and his own family.
Indeed.
He's rotten for not acknowledging his own grandson.
Listen, do you know what, Tom, do you know what Biden's saving grace is as the worst president? Do you know what his saving grace is?
What?
He was only physically there for 2.44 years, and it was being run by someone else for the other half of his administration. It is likely that we will find out after all of this is done that Biden was responsible for none of the decisions of his administration. It was all done by his handlers, and in essence, he was not there. He was just a figurehead president.
I think you're exactly right. We'll find that out in a year or two.
Yep.
So Jimmy Carter, he badmouthed us after his presidency, his whole life, and I'm not so sure he was anti-Semite. I just don't think he liked Jewish people because they were kind of Western Europeans that went to Israel, and in his mind, anyone that is a Western European or a rich white American, they were the evil, the boogeyman.
That's true. That is
they did or fought.
That
was
is
terrible.
true. But if he didn't write that book in 2015, where he was being very expressive about Israel and their role, because his biggest problem was he didn't see Arafat as the problem. He saw what is it? Why am I forgetting his name? Is it Perez? Simon Perez? He saw him as the problem. And that was the biggest issue of his administration, because those Middle East peace talks Jimmy Carter began and Clinton picked up on. But what we realized after Clinton picked up on them was that it was never going to happen, because Arafat knew that if he went back to Israel, if he went back to Gaza with any deal, they would kill him.
Yeah. When that was going on, I would say, geez, Ringo Starr ain't that bad of a guy, but he turned out to be a rotten guy. He took so much money. He should never give a penny to Gaza, because none of the people in Gaza get it. It all goes into the
it goes to Hamas. Exactly. It doesn't go exactly.
Yeah.
There is no the leadership of Palestine, as it were, is Hamas. So nothing goes to the people. They don't speak for themselves.
Yeah.
Hamas speaks for them.
We were totally conned. We were totally conned on that. So
yeah, indeed.
I think I'm changing my mind. I still think Carter was the worst.
You know what? I'm inclined to agree. I'm inclined to agree with you.
He was a good humanitarian for poor people in the United States, but that was it.
Yeah. I hear you, buddy. Thank you. I got to go. Let me say this real quick. Larry O'Connor in D.C. said the best thing. He says that you could really think about it, that Jimmy Carter began Habitat for Humanity so he could assist the poor people that he put there get a home. I thought that was hilarious. He said that. Lori's in Glastonbury. How you doing, Lori?
Reese, oh my heavens. The one thing I was going to call in for is now, I don't even know which thing I want to address first.
You got 2 minutes. See if you can get, which one is the one hanging, when's the one hanging over your head the most? Which dark cloud do you want to go after?
Well, I mean, I'm just going to encapsulate all of the teacher stuff with homeschool your kids. If you can, just homeschool your kids. They'll be better off.
We're there. We are there.
Yeah, we really are, though. And so I want to nominate the Tavistock Clinic story out of England as one of the stories that was never covered by the media, along with the Vanderbilt presentation about how much money hospitals can get from people who want to transition.
Ooh.
Those stories were never covered. The Tavistock Clinic in England was the first thread that kind of unraveled all of the trans ideology in Europe.
You're absolutely right.
And the fact that Europe has stopped doing all of this stuff for a while now has never been covered here by our American media.
Oh, it's funny. They've quietly backed away from it. We're talking about Boston's Children's Hospital has backed away from it because they got caught in one of the worst scandals ever. I don't know if you remember this, but they were putting out a video saying that they were helping people transition as early as 13. And then when they were found out,
I remember that.
right, then when they were found out, they came quiet and said, oh, no, that's a rumor. It isn't true, even though we had them on video saying it. They did a presentation telling people at age 13 that they would assist them. Then they came out and told CNN and none of that story was true. And then somebody got a hold of an inter-office memo at Boston Children's Hospital that said, hey, if anybody asks you, don't, make sure that you keep it under wraps. Don't tell anybody what we're doing. So they got busted. Right. So they were forced to actually, quietly walk away from it. You notice it's now been a non-story, primarily because they know it's bad for politics.
Right. Again, Tavistock was the thread that started to unravel everything.
I think that you're 100% right. Thank you, Lori. Much appreciated. You got it. Happy New Year. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Everybody's going to get a Happy New Year. All right. Let's get into another check of our traffic because filling in for Mark Christopher is Tom O'Hanlon at the BPS Traffic Center.
I'm Tom O'Hanlon from the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. On 84, moving along nicely, westbound and eastbound. No trouble across the river through Hartford. 91, we're okay through the area right up around North Meadows after some earlier slowdowns. And we still have that problem on the southbound side of 91 in Rocky Hill. That is at exit 23. The off-ramp got shut down with a crash. On Wilbur Cross, we're moving along. Routes 2 and 3 are looking good. Traffic and weather together on the 8th. WTIC News Talk 1080.
Get a head start to your day with WTIC News Talk 1080. Listen to us live on the Odyssey app before you even hit the road. Get the breakdown on the biggest news stories that Connecticut is talking about. To get started, download the Odyssey app and search for WTIC News Talk 1080. WTIC weather.
We're wrapping up 2024 this Tuesday afternoon with sunshine giving way to clouds. A high of 52. Rain will begin this evening and end after midnight. Outdoor New Year's Eve celebrations can be impacted by the rain. The low down to 39. New Year's Day, cloudy, breezy, mild. A passing shower or two in the afternoon. The high. Then clouds and sunshine, windy and cooler Thursday. The high dialed back to 40 for us and feeling like the 30s with the strong west winds. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina in the WTIC Weather Center.
Mystic, Hamden, Putnam. When you want local news, turn to WTIC News Talk 1080, reporting on the local stories that affect you. From Manchester to Mystic, Hartford to Hamden, and Putnam to Plymouth, one radio station has your local news and breaking news as it happens. WTIC News Talk 1080. Listen on your radio, smart speaker, and on your phone with the free Odyssey app. And now, a WTIC News Update.
47 degrees at 4:30. I'm Dave Mager, WTIC 1080 News. The first sounds of the new year in Sydney, Australia, as worldwide celebrations continue all the way through American Samoa, which will strike midnight at 6 a.m. our time. In Hartford, it's first night, with a long list of events going on right now. There's family-friendly art activity, music, dance, and more. This is event director Jeff Devereaux.
Excited this year. We have Nightfall's artistic collaboration supporting all of our kids' activities. So all the craft activities sort of build on one another into the People's Parade ahead of the 6 o'clock fireworks. But tons to choose from. A little bit of fun for everybody.
The Bushnell Park Carousel and Winterfest ice skating are open. There will be fireworks at 6 p.m. and midnight. And Jeff says everything will go on as scheduled, even if it rains. More details at firstnighthartford.org. In New York, organizers say 1 million people will be in Times Square. Security is tight, although no specific threats have been reported. CBS's Nikki Batiste is there.
We are counting down the hours until the big ball drop tonight here in Times Square. The NYPD has already sealed off the area and really has been working around the clock to keep the crowd of roughly 1 million people expected here tonight safe. And we got a rare look at their command center. It's really the nerve center for tonight's celebrations. Multiple law enforcement agencies will come together and watch monitors at the command center. They'll have eyes on about 70,000 cameras looking for any possible threats.
Lights out today in Puerto Rico.
More than 1 million customers have been without power since early morning, thanks to the failure of an underground power line. Luma Energy, which oversees electricity transmission on the island, says it could take up to 2 days to restore power. Puerto Rico has been struggling with chronic power outages since 2017, when Hurricane Maria seriously damaged an inadequate power grid. Linda Kenyon, CBS News, Washington.
Hartford police report a shooting at about 12:45 this afternoon. They say a man in his 20s suffered a non-life-threatening gunshot wound. He was found at 224 South Marshall Street after a shot spotter activation. The victim is hospitalized. Wall Street done for 2024 today. The Dow was down 30 points. S&P dropped 25. NASDAQ was down 176. For the year, the Dow gained about 13%. The S&P gained 24%, and the NASDAQ was up 31%. Sports, NHL this afternoon. Washington beat the Bruins 3-1. NBA third quarter, Celtics 62, Toronto 44. College football, the national quarterfinal at the Fiesta Bowl. Penn State takes on Boise State. For more, check out WTIC.com. I'm Dave Maker, WTIC 1080 News.
Hi, I'm Joe with SimpleSaleUSA.com, and I buy houses cash. If you own a house and want to sell it fast at a fair price, call me at 203-896-4000. I can pay cash and close in as little as 7 days. I buy houses in any condition, any price range, and more importantly, anywhere in Connecticut. I'm a private real estate investor who buys several houses a month, and I want to buy more. I buy inherited houses, divorce houses, behind-in-payment houses. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. Do you own a house that is trash and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great, because I love buying junk houses. I buy vacant houses, abandoned houses, condemned houses, and even foreclosure houses. If you own a house and want to sell it fast, call me at 203-896-4000. That's 203-896-4000. 203-896-4000.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in...
1 minute.
This is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for less. And for a limited time, new customers receive their second month free when they sign up and use promo code SECONDFREE by January 26th. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up and call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Here's Heather with the weather.
Well, it's beautiful out there, sunny and 75, almost a little chilly in the shade. Now, let's get a read on the inside of your car. It is hot. You've only been parked a short time and it's already 99 degrees in there. Let's not leave children in the back seat while running errands. It only takes a few body temperatures to rise, and that could be fatal.
Cars get hot fast and can be deadly. Never leave a child in a car. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
This is Reese on the radio, filling in for Todd Feinberg on WTIC News Talk 1080.
We are back. It's Reese on the radio. I also want to mention a couple of things in the chat room. White Mike says, I just read a story on Alicia. Seems like Connecticut spent a bunch of money on a girl with behavioral issues. They should have put her in a school to... I'm not reading that part. Link the story in the chat room, Mike, so I can read that. I was looking for that story as you mentioned. And I'm like, I didn't read anything like that. Mike is cruel. Max S says, Happy New Year. Hopefully you'll stay where you're at in 25 in 25 years, 2025 and beyond. I'm reading that poorly, Max. I apologize. I'm hoping to go further than that, but I appreciate you, sir. Fritz, who is on hold, we'll get to him in a minute. He said in the chat room, Democratic racism is a complete success in Hartford. Puerto Ricans aren't black enough, he says. For that, and Rama in the Rumble chat room says some of the dumbest people in the world are the ones they hire to educate our children, or in this case, not educate, rather. which makes sense. Jerry Williams is also on text, and he says Ted Knight, born in Connecticut, and studied acting in Hartford, of all places. And I'm a big Ted Knight fan, Jerry. I'm a big Ted Knight fan. I loved Too Close for Comfort. And I just watched the Caddyshack documentary on Netflix. I think it was on Netflix. I watched that documentary. That was cool. There's a very tense scene in that documentary. It talks about Bill Murray coming onto the set while Chevy Chase was there because famously Chevy Chase and Bill Murray had a physical altercation on Saturday Night Live, on the set of Saturday Night Live at 30 Rock. And this was the first time the two were going to see each other after that fight. And Bill Murray wasn't there for the whole shooting. He came in for, I think, 6 days, probably less than that. And that was the first time they had met. So there's a great part in the documentary. Mark in West Hartford is also on text. He says, keep in mind, the city of Hartford eliminated SROs, so this bullied student couldn't even file a formal police complaint on school property. All educators are mandated reporters. They are obligated to contact the proper authorities concerning bullying. Law prevents educators from keeping it in-house. So that's another case that Anthony Spinella might want to look into because there may have been some criminal activity here as well. Not that he's a civil lawyer, but they might want to bring that up, that if Alicia was being bullied and no one reported it, that's a violation of the law. Let's get another check of our traffic in the BPS Traffic Center for Tom O'Hanlon, filling in for Mark Christopher.
I'm Tom O'Hanlon from the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. On 84, we are good going westbound to eastbound. If you're crossing the river, you're doing it pretty nicely today. The traffic volume a bit easier than usual. Now, 91 on the southbound side in North Meadows, it looks easier than it was. It was stop and go before, but it's moving pretty well. Now, southbound on 91 at Rocky Hill, right at exit 23, the off-ramp is shut down. That's because of a crash. And 91 northbound, we are good to go. Wilbur Cross is still moving, still pretty easy on routes 2 and 3. Traffic and weather together on the 8s. WTIC News Talk 1080.
WTIC weather.
Rest of this afternoon through early evening, turning out cloudy and mild. Temperatures not far from 50 degrees. There will be periods of rain beginning this evening and coming to an end after midnight. Outdoor New Year's Eve celebrations and travel can be impacted by the rain. Later on tonight, a lingering shower, low 39. Tomorrow, cloudy, breezy, and mild, a passing shower or two in the afternoon with a high of 50. Tomorrow night, some clouds and breezy, low 35. Thursday, partly sunny, windy, and cooler with a high temperature reaching about 40 degrees. Right now, it's 50 degrees in Windsor, 51 degrees in East Hartford, and it's 48 degrees in Hartford. This is meteorologist Bob Smurbeck in the WTIC Weather Center.
Start your day with all the latest sports information. Matt Soroyce has updates from the Cordell & Cordell Sports Desk at 15 and 45 past every hour. Only on WTIC News Talk 1080.
Hi, I'm Brian Kilmeade. I am so excited to be on WTIC right here in Hartford, Connecticut. I'll be bringing all the breaking news with perspective, give you an idea what's happening, not only in the election, but beyond, the things that matter to you on a daily basis. I promise to bring you the best guests, the most insight, and the most prepared. Fresh off Fox and Friends, I come up to do the Brian Kilmeade Show here on Fox News. Make sure you join me on WTIC. Hello, Connecticut. I hope I never have to say goodbye.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hi, I'm Dr. Peter Stahl, board-certified urologist and senior vice president of men's sexual health at HIMSS. In my 12 years of practice as a reproductive urologist, I've helped many guys with ED, and it has never been more convenient to treat than it is right now, thanks to HIMSS. It really wasn't easy before. You had to take time out of your day, come to a physical office, and see a specialist like me in person. Now, through HIMSS.com, you can get world-class sexual health care and a full range of treatment options for ED through a 100% online process. It starts with a free assessment from a medical provider licensed in your state who can determine if ED treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. So don't wait. Join the hundreds of thousands of guys who've gotten help for their ED through HIMSS.
To start your free online visit and find ED treatment at up to 95% off brand name prices, go to hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit.
Radio responded to the challenge of television.
1 minute.
programming to show it could do things TV couldn't. One new format was the call-in talk show. While technically call-in shows were possible long before the 50s, radio was carefully scripted, removing any chance of spontaneous listener-announcer interaction. Out of necessity, radio was becoming more relaxed, and in August of 1954, WTIC started to air the Miller Party Line, hosted by Ross Miller and his wife, Betty. They talked with people from all walks of life, from sports to entertainment. With this show, WTIC started a format that became the mainstay of AM radio. In 1949, WTIC launched 2 more call-in shows, Mike Line, a radio roundtable where listeners responded to other listeners' questions and comments, and What's Your Opinion, the first issue-oriented call-in show. Talk radio as we know it started right here on WTIC. The United Way is proud to sponsor a moment in WTIC's history. Together, we are united to end poverty. Learn more at unitedwayinc.org.
It's Reese on the radio. And don't say we didn't warn you on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
We are back. Reese on the radio, News Talk 1080 WTIC. We'll get to the phones right now. Let's first go to Fritz in Berlin. What's going on, Fritz Cat?
What's up, my boy? How you doing?
Chillin', man. What's going on?
Hey, I just wanted to tell you first, Happy New Year to you and yours.
Thank you.
And the show's been absolutely great, and the topics are all over the place.
I try.
The first one I'm going to start with is Mark from West Harvard.
Yeah.
That dude is like the only reporter in Connecticut that's actually telling honest news. If you think about it, there's really nobody coming around on the radio really that's out there. Mark from West Hartford, man, give him an applause. That's the dude.
You know what? He deserves it. And I'll admit, he is the citizen journalist of a lifetime. And he is out there doing, and he's doing the work. I'm trying to, trust me, when I get an opportunity to, Mark and I are going to get it. I think Mark's got to have his own show. Even if it's online, he's got to do it.
He is one awesome dude, man. He helped me out one time when my car was overheating and the radiator broke. He did everything he could to help me get home. So props to him. Thank you, Mark.
Oh, no doubt. Okay. What was the other thing now?
Tom from Thomaston made up a really good point, and I was thinking and laughing about it.
Yeah.
And I started adding to it, and I was like, you could have Weekend with the Bidens. They could capitalize on, what do you call that?
That Weekend at Bernie's sort of deal? Yeah.
They could capitalize completely on that.
That
is kind of funny.
They, you know what? I don't understand why they're not selling those T-shirts. I mean, they tried that Dark Brandon thing.
Yeah, I smell money.
Absolutely.
I smell money.
How are you and Chrissy going to be spending New Year's this year?
She's sitting there just chilling out on her phone. I'd put her on. I'd pass the mic, but then it might go across the radio.
No, that's okay. It's all right.
I could always have her call in, though.
I
That'd be
will
cool.
exactly. You can always have her call in. Tell her, tell her I send my love. And if she's listening, she probably already heard it.
I think we're going to do karaoke music or something.
Wow, nice.
The whole neighborhood.
You know what? I don't do karaoke enough, to be honest with you.
Yes, you should do more. If you ever need any bigger speakers, I'll ship them to Texas because I got too many of them.
You got it, boss man. Much appreciated. Happy New Year to you, man. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Steve is in Waterbury. How we doing, sir?
I'm doing well, Reese. How you doing, my friend?
I'm all right, sir. What's up?
Good. Well, first of all, that young lady who can't read or write, she could always become a teacher in New Jersey. That's good news.
That's right. I didn't even think of that.
I got a lot to cover here. I got a free education. I've been paying for it ever since.
Oh.
But, I think we all have.
I think we all have. You're absolutely right.
Right. Yeah. But, I do have some suggestions. I kind of mentioned before how with electronic media people could learn, especially with AI. I really think that if they made the textbook people put classroom on video that could be downloaded on computers, could be taken home so parents and everybody could watch. I think if they did like the old one school classroom where students used to help students, they had different ages or whatever.
Right.
I think it'd be more of a way to get to know a person where they can relate to something that they know because they're closer to that age. They're not out of touch.
There's a good point here, and I remember watching this when very early stages of TikTok. there's this guy I guess he's very wealthy, but he speaks, he's very guttural. He, curses a lot in his videos. And, I guess he's involved in sports, but somebody's going to remember who he is. But he's a shorter guy with dark hair. He's in his 40s or 50s, but he speaks very street. And he talks about the education system in this way. He says, today's education system is the worst that it's ever been for any young people. Because kids, if they really want to learn, they don't need school at all. They can do everything. It's antiquated because everything that they can learn that's valuable to them is already free to them online. If
Including
it's not
college courses.
Exactly, college courses, it's all free to them online. YouTube, TikTok, all of it. I watch all of these videos all the time, and I'm learning every day because there's someone out there who has the knowledge, who's sharing it with everyone else. And
exactly
the most basic thing that a school can learn, and I understand that everybody says school needs to be more exciting to these kids because they have truancy problems, attendance problems, which is, essentially the same thing. But they have, children who don't come to school who are uninterested in education on its most basic level. But let me ask you this, Steve, because no, we're going to be here for a minute. Let me ask you this, because this is, I think, a product of this. I was having a discussion last year about Eddie Bauer, Coca-Cola, and Johnson & Johnson baby, the baby oil product company. I was having a conversation about this. And there was a story that said all three of those brands did something unheard of. They had removed the cursive in its advertising. Its logos were changed to block print because children today can't read cursive.
Yeah,
and
crazy.
Those basic things are not taught they don't learn how to read an analog clock. They don't learn reading. They don't learn writing. They don't learn those basic things about any of those subjects. And that's what's happened in school. They've put themselves involved in social issues. That has been the big, thing we've talked about over the past 5 years about gender studies in the school, political correctness, CRT. They're not even talking about the basic things like reading, writing, and arithmetic anymore in the classroom.
Right. The worst part is, Reese.
Yeah.
Is that learning can be fun.
Yeah.
I mean, really could. It should be more of a real life situation. If they were to team up with companies and actually have kind of like on-job training programs or whatever, if they had, first of all, I don't think kids at 16 years old should be allowed to drop out either. I think that's really a bad thing for that. But learning could be a lot of fun, and it just has to be brought about in the right way. And they really got to get rid of these unions. They really got to revamp things. I've been thinking about this ever since George W. came to Waterbury many, many years ago, and it's really been on my mind. And I've been thinking of more and more ways to improve our education system. And it really needs to be done. They need to revamp it.
Look, if there is video learning to be had, Steve, right? If we do know that the kids are learning in a videoed way, right? If it's all visual, perhaps that's the way in which we need to sort of, we need to alternate. One of the biggest problems that I have about this business is that people say that, the business is changing. It's a new world. And I go, well, you've got to start adapting to that new world. Maybe education should do that.
Exactly. The other thing is I think they should start training you like the military when you're young. Learn to get organized. Learn skills that you're probably not learning at home. Learn things that are practical.
Yeah.
And again, a lot of people never even knew how to read a map or use all kinds of things that we used to need in every day.
Yeah.
Time. And again, you used to ask a teacher, I'm sure the answer is the same today. What do we need this for? Well, you're going to need it someday.
Yeah. Do you know what? And you're so right on that. That's one of my biggest problems. When I was growing up, my biggest argument about algebra was, where am I going to use this? At what point is someone going to say A plus X equals B? Like, I'm never going to use this. However, I was self-taught. When I dropped out of high school, I had to educate myself. I learned to read by reading the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal. That's how I learned to read. And if it was a word that I didn't understand, I didn't look it up. I actually had to contextualize what they were talking. Like, in other words, I had to use reading comprehension as a guide to understand what those words meant. That was how I learned to read.
Right. The other thing too, and that's awesome, by the way. The other thing is, I mean, a computer could read text. So people that are blind, if somebody has a reading problem or don't even like to read, well, they could listen to word for word.
You know, it's funny. The Wall Street Journal, I was watching the 5 yesterday, and during one of the segments, the Wall Street Journal put out an article that is having a debate about audiobooks on whether or not that is reading versus, you know, an audiobook is the same thing as reading. And I would argue it isn't. It clearly isn't. But I like audiobooks because I don't want to sit down and read because I fall asleep quickly. If I read a book, I'll fall asleep. I'll never get through it. It'll take me a year to finish a book.
Right.
I do the audiobook because I can do it while I'm driving or while I'm in the office doing whatever it's playing in the background. So it's beneficial to me because I'm still learning.
Right. Plus, you could close your eyes, not have a distraction.
Yes.
And you can listen to it. When I used to study at night, I used to have the radio and TV on, which I kind of need. But I would read something. I close my eyes, think about it, and read it again. I'd be up to like 2, 3 in the morning.
Wow.
You know, studying. That'd be my best time to study. But it's kind of like a way I had to do to memorize things. But now if you have a kid repeat it over and over again, you know, it certainly helps sink in quite a bit.
Yeah. I think, like I said, learning has changed. I think we're just going to have to find a new way to do it because, look, the end result is more and more test scores and graduation rates. Both of those things are plummeting, right? So it's obvious that whatever they're doing isn't working. It might be doing grand in areas where education are important, but in the places where it isn't, they have to change strategies. We have got to improve those numbers, and it can't be based on equity and inclusion. Those things don't educate anyone.
Right. And the good news is if, you know, we don't have people that can read and write and whatnot, and we lose all the illegal immigrants, but we always have a spot for them in the fields.
Yeah, see, it turns out, right? Thank you very much, Steve.
Thank you, my friend.
You got it, sir. Happy New Year. To me, it's insane. Michael B. says the curse of not being taught is to keep them from reading our founding documents. Agreed. I believe people won't read them. But you know what? You can read them in print text. I wish the kids would read them at all. Craig J. says, when I moved to my town in 79, there were still ruins of one-room schoolhouses. They're all gone now and replaced with schools that look like a Taj Mahal. Biggest waste of money in government. I couldn't agree more. And I see all of these great schools that, you know, Magnet School here. What's the other name of those schools? Oh God, what's the word I'm looking for? The alternative schools that everybody is always talking about. I don't know, the name is escaping me right now. But magnet schools were they were a big deal back in the day. But those were for the troubled kids. They had the remedial charter schools. And why did that not come to my head? Charter schools. I don't need any those charter schools. We need more of those, obviously, because at least those teachers are held accountable. Don't have a graduation rate worth writing home about? Fired. Right? That's over. It's done with. Having the kids who are in failing schools be able to go to schools that aren't failing. And if that kid fails out of that school, that kid just fails. But at least those teachers know at the end of the day, hey, I got a kid failing. It's a 5-alarm fire. And look, you know, I tell this story all the time. I was at Occupy Wall Street. I wish I still had the video. But I was at Occupy Wall Street, and you have all of these kids. And as I said earlier, you know, the sacred cow, if you will, I was talking about teachers. And I said, the reason why we have an education problem in this country is because teachers are tenured and teachers do not care about kids' graduation rates or their test scores. Why? Because if they're tenured, they are paid to fail. And they said, no, you can't go after the teachers. Why are you going after the teachers? And it was I don't mean it to be racial, so hear me out. But there were white kids who were surrounding me, arguing with me about Occupy Wall Street and liberalism. And here and there were smattered some black and brown kids who had glommed on to this ridiculous idea. Seemed great to them. But when I started talking about education, I knew that I was going to get those black kids with one question. And I said to the kid, I said, listen, hold on for a second. Who here has ever heard a teacher say, it doesn't matter whether or not you pass or fail, I still get paid? And every one of those black and brown kids raised their hand in that crowd. And when I'm saying, I was photographed with a sea of people surrounding me. And when I raised my hand, all of those black and brown kids raised their hands. And those white kids looked around and they went, what? And I went, yeah. That's the education of a young black kid in the inner city. Those teachers did not care whether or not they were educated. They got paid at the end of the day. That's what you're dealing with in the education system. They knew it then, but they didn't know it before. And that's exactly what's going on with Alicia here. They don't care. They don't have to. Their demands are always met in legislature, in the governor's office. The senators go on national television and promote that nonsense that they need more money, so they can keep educating our kids, failing them at every turn, and then going, why? Doesn't matter how much money you give them. You're not paying them to educate. You're paying them to pay. Let's get another check of our traffic. Let's go to Tom O'Hanlon filling in for Mark Christopher in the BPS Traffic Center.
I'm Tom O'Hanlon from the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. On 84 westbound, we're slowing down a bit now just after you cross the river into Hartford. On eastbound 84, it's okay. Nothing else going on of consequence in 84. It looks pretty nice. 91 southbound, you're doing all right heading down into 84. At Rocky Hill, though, you cannot exit at exit 23 on the southbound side of 91. The off-ramp is shut down with a crash. Wilbur Cross is doing okay. Route 2 and Route 3, still a fairly easy ride. Traffic and weather together on the 8s. WTIC News Talk 1080.
Tune in to WTIC News Talk 1080 for Healthy Rounds, hosted by Dr. Anthony Alessi, Saturday mornings 11 till noon. Learn from the top experts in their fields about the latest medical findings and call in with your medical question. Healthy Rounds is dedicated to providing accurate and timely health information and is sponsored by Hartford Healthcare, Ratchford Eye Center, St. Francis Hospital, Covaris, and Yukon Health Orthopedics and Sports Medicine. Healthy Rounds, Saturday mornings 11 till noon on WTIC News Talk 1080 and WTIC.com. WTIC weather.
Wrapping up 2024 on our Tuesday afternoon with a mild day as the sunshine gives way to some clouds. The high of 52. Now we'll get some rain during the evening, ending after midnight. Could impact outdoor New Year's Eve celebrations. The low down to 39. Then for New Year's Day, Wednesday, cloudy, breezy, still mild. We'll have a passing shower or two in the afternoon. The high of 50. Thursday, a mix of clouds and sun. It'll be windy and cooler and feeling cold with a high of 40 and a strong west wind. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina in the WTIC Weather Center.
Mystic, Hamden, Putnam. When you want local news, turn to WTIC News Talk 1080, reporting on the local stories that affect you. From Manchester to Mystic, Hartford to Hamden, and Putnam to Plymouth, one radio station has your local news and breaking news as it happens. WTIC News Talk 1080. Listen on your radio, smart speaker, and on your phone with the free Odyssey app. WTIC is 99 and throwing a year-long celebration to 100 years on the air. This is WTIC and WTIC FM HD2 Hartford. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
45 degrees, cloudy in Hartford at 5 o'clock. I'm Dave Mager, WTIC 1080 News. Some rain tonight with temperatures in the 40s, low around 40 overnight. The sound of the New Year's countdown in Hong Kong. New Zealand struck midnight first, 18 hours before U.S. Eastern Time. American Samoa will be last, 6 hours behind us. Hartford's first night well underway. There's family-friendly art activity at the Old State House, the Hartford Public Library, Theater Works, Center Church, and City Place. There's lots of music and dancing, according to event director Jeff Devereaux.
We got over a dozen venues in and around downtown. Some fun new things this year. We're doing a dance party on Pratt Street with Arthur Murray Dance Center. So come out and dance. They got salsa and merengue and more. They got teachers to help folks who don't know, and wide open street for folks to join the party.
Last Dance with Arthur Murray starts at 7 p.m. on Pratt Street. Fireworks at 6 and midnight. And while there might be raindrops, Jeff says everything will go on as scheduled. More details at firstnighthartford.org. In New York City, organizers claim 1 million people will be in Times Square to watch the ball drop. Security is tight. This is NYPD Commissioner Jessica Tisch.
There will be no backpacks, large bags, coolers, chairs, alcohol, or importantly, umbrellas allowed in viewing areas.
That's despite the rain in the forecast. A driver is dead after a late morning crash in Middlebury. 3 vehicles were involved at about 11 a.m. on Straits Turnpike Route 63. 2 others are hospitalized. State police say an Ellington man died early this morning after a crash on Route 20 in Windsor. The car he was driving veered off the road and struck some trees. The victim identified as 60-year-old James Engel. New year, new laws in Connecticut. Details from WTIC's John Silva.
Chief among them, an increase in the state's minimum wage. That increases 66 cents from $15.69 an hour to $16.35 an hour. That doesn't include the federal minimum wage, which remains at $7.25 an hour, where it's been the last 15 years. Some other laws taking effect at midnight in Connecticut, an act expanding sick leave in the state. It was at least 50 employees. Now it will be 25 or more that will be eligible for 40 hours of yearly sick leave minimum. Also, coerced debt, which is created by a domestic abuser that sees their partner incurring massive credit card debt and is now on the companies to review such cases. John Silva, WTIC 1080 News.
The race for Speaker of the House could be tight, even after an endorsement for Republican Mike Johnson from Donald Trump himself. CBS's Ed O'Keefe.
Handful of House Republicans said Monday they'll back Johnson now that Trump has weighed in, but others are holding out, at least for now, saying they want further assurances before committing their support. While GOP Congressman Tom Massey from Kentucky, for example, has serious concerns about federal spending, said he won't vote for Johnson. The Speaker can't afford to lose any other votes.
Glastonbury police have identified the victim of what they call an untimely death. Saturday, officers found 50-year-old Nelia Vodovskaya dead on a cart path at Glastonbury Hills Country Club. That's after they found her unoccupied SUV partially submerged in a pond. The cause of death and why there was a crash remain unknown. National TV news anchor Aaron Brown has died at 76. Brown worked for ABC News then. His first day on the air at CNN was September 11th, 2001. He anchored coverage from a Manhattan rooftop. Wall Street closes out 2024 with losses. The Dow was down 30 points, S&P was down 25, NASDAQ down 176. For the year, though, the Dow gained 13%, S&P gained 24%, and the NASDAQ was up 31%. NHL final, Washington beat the Bruins 3-1. NBA mid-fourth quarter, Boston 107, Toronto 59 in a blowout. College football, Fiesta Bowl National quarterfinal tonight. Penn State plays Boise State. For more, check out WTIC.com. I'm Dave Maker, WTIC 1080 News.
Men, it's the new year, and for many of us, deciding to make positive changes in our lives. This is Dale for Northeast Men's Health, and if you're suffering with erectile dysfunction and are tired of the frustration and embarrassment ED causes, you should call Northeast Men's Health today, because there probably isn't a better resolution you can make than to be done with ED. You see, ED doesn't just affect you. It can also affect your partner, even if they don't talk about it. But here's some great news. If you're like most guys, the treatments at Northeast Men's Health will give you back your sex life, because our protocols have success rates that work in well over 90% of cases. Seriously, you might even find you're performing like you haven't in years. So make an appointment and get ED out of your life. Your initial visit is just $99 and includes blood work, a medical consult, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if that test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. Call 800-930-5956 or go to northeastmenshealth.com. We have 5 offices: Salem, New Hampshire, Dedham, Marlborough, Woburn, Farmington, Connecticut. Northeast Men's Health, a Promedic restorative health practice.
You're listening to Reese on the Radio, filling in today for Todd Feinberg on WTIC News Talk 1080.
It's the 5 o'clock focus.
It's the 5 o'clock focus.
I'm focused, man. 5 o'clock focus right here on News Talk 1080 WTIC. We'll get to your phone calls shortly. If you want to jump in about the 5 o'clock focus, you can, or anything else we've talked about today. Don't worry, we are also going to do, what happened was at 5:30. 5:35. If you missed the program. So you get to check out the show to find out what you missed and to go back and check it out. We'll do that as well. 5 o'clock focus is this. Here we are, the last day of 2024. So I want to know, what was the highlight of the last year or the low light of the last year for you? It doesn't all have to be politics and pop culture and any of that other stuff. What was your high mark or your low mark, whatever you want to discuss, of the year? Mine, my high point and my low point were kind of the same on a couple. One of my high points of 2024 was being here for the last going on 6 months with you right here. I really, really do feel that this was one of the high points, not maybe so, of my life. Coming back here 14 years later and being here for the last 6 months to prepare a show for you every weekday on WTIC has been one of the biggest highlights of the year. Buy my house was another big highlight. Celebrating my 1-year anniversary with my wife was another highlight. One of the low life was losing the dogs. That was a long story. I haven't even discussed that yet with you. You don't even know this yet. But we lost both of our dogs this summer, and it was really, really, it was a horrible, horrible tragedy. But that was one of the lowlights. But yeah, I had a lot. But if you have one that you'd like to share, high or low, that's fine. Let's talk about it. 860-522-WTIC, 860-522-9842. Highlights, lowlights, 2024. Share 'em. Let's get another check of traffic with Tom O'Hanlon in the BPS Traffic Center.
I'm Tom O'Hanlon from the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. 84 westbound, we're looking pretty good as you cross the river into Hartford, tapping the brakes here and there, but not too much. On the eastbound side of 84, we're good. And back and forth across 84, really looking pretty nice today with lighter traffic. 91 southbound at Rocky Hill, they still have the southbound exit 23 off-ramp shut down because of a crash on the northbound side through there. On 91, you're okay. And 291 looks good. Wilbur Cross is moving, and still a pretty easy ride on routes 2 and 3. Traffic and weather together on the 8s. WTIC News Talk 1080.
WTIC weather.
Heading into the early evening hours, turning out cloudy and mild. Temperatures not far from 50 degrees. Then for tonight, periods of rain during the evening hours will come to an end after midnight. Outdoor New Year's Eve celebrations and travel can be impacted by the rainfall. Low temperature later tonight, about 39. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy, breezy, and mild. A passing shower or two in the afternoon, high 50. Partly cloudy skies and breezy tomorrow night, low 35. On Thursday, clouds and sunshine, windy and cooler with a high of 40. On Friday, sunny to partly cloudy and breezy, high 39. Colder on Saturday with clouds and sun, high 34. Right now, it's 48 in Farmington, 48 in Newington, and 47 in Hartford. This is meteorologist Bob Smurbeck in the WTIC Weather Center.
Eggland's Best, the only eggs with more fresh and delicious taste, plus superior nutrition, available in so many delicious varieties: classic, cage-free, organic, free-range, and pasture-raised. Eggland's Best, better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
Experience relief from oral inflammation and infection at Columbia Dental. Led by Dr. Mohammadi, our practice operates 7 days a week with extended hours, dedicated to restoring peace and comfort to your smile. Visit ColumbiaDental.com.
Are you tired of high cable TV rates? Sign up for Dish today and get a $500 bonus offer while supplies last. Plus, lock in your price for 2 years guaranteed. Call All American Dish, your Dish authorized retailer now.
800-296-1251. 800-296-1251. That's 800-296-1251.
Offers require credit qualification, 24-month commitment, early termination fee, and e-auto pay. Restrictions apply. Call for details.
There's a price war in the insurance business, and you may be paying too much. Call the Term Lifeline right now and see if you can save 40%. $500,000 plans and up, that's our specialty. Even great smokers' rates. Protect your family today. Call the Term Lifeline right now for a free quote. 866-549-TERM, 866-549-TERM, 866-549-TERM.
Prescriptions require 1 minute. Healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hi, I'm Dr. Peter Stahl, board-certified urologist and senior vice president of men's sexual health at HIMSS. In my 12 years of practice as a reproductive urologist, I've helped many guys with ED, and it has never been more convenient to treat than it is right now, thanks to HIMSS. It really wasn't easy before. You had to take time out of your day, come to a physical office, and see a specialist like me in person. Now, through HIMSS.com, you can get world-class sexual health care and a full range of treatment options for ED through a 100% online process. It starts with a free assessment from a medical provider licensed in your state who can determine if ED treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. So don't wait. Join the hundreds of thousands for their ED through HIMSS.
To start your free online visit and find ED treatment at up to 95% off brand name prices, go to hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit.
It's the 5 o'clock focus.
It's the 5 o'clock focus.
I'm focused, man. 5 o'clock focus on News Talk 1080 WTIC. Getting your phone calls in a second. I'm going back and forth with Spawn on YouTube in the chat room. And yeah, Spawn, you didn't know this. I mean, like 2008 was my last airtime on WRKO back in Boston, our former sister station up there. And yeah, I got back here in 2022. So that's when I started filling in here. So this year is, 2024 is when I started filling in, and I was here like every day for the last 5.5 going on 6 months. And Spawn says that this is a tough time slot. Not for me. When I started in radio, in fact, when I first became a huge fan of the medium or the genre, if you will, every guy I knew was morning radio. I listened, of course, to Howard Stern. Scott Shannon was my, that was my first real, radio guru. To me, growing up with listening to him. So all the guys I knew were doing morning shows. And, of course, Limbaugh did, midday in the afternoon. So, of course, he is, probably, I would say, my hero. But afternoon drive, I love this slot. This right here, to talk about the events of the day, is like, as you are consuming them, and then coming here on the show for us to dissect them while you drive home. I love this spot. This is what was always my dream spot. And I do believe in God, and I believe there are no such things as coincidences. I think God heard my call and gave me this opportunity. I love being here. For me, this is perfection. Two things in my life have been perfect. And that is, three things in my life have been perfect. And two of them was being right here from 3 to 6 and knowing on September 22nd, 2019, that I was in love with Roseanne. The moment that I saw her on that sunny day in September. Never forget it. Anyway, all right, to the phones we go because I can talk about that nonsense all day. Rick is in Cheshire. What's going on, buddy?
What's up, buddy? I want to go take a walk down memory lane. Do you remember, and I'm sure you do, back when, in the beginning of Joe Biden's presidency, when he was trying to dismantle the energy production in this country?
XL pipeline.
And and the fracking and everything else. And they were asking, well, where are these people going to get jobs? What are they going to do? Blah, blah, blah. And he said one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. He said, well, they can learn how to code.
Yeah.
So I was okay. So that's pretty stupid. But now here we are full circle. Now, let's just say, even if that was possible, it took someone from that industry for so long, and they went and they decided to learn how to code. Well, here we are with the HP-1 visa controversy.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you did that, you can't even get a job coding because the people that are getting all those jobs at 30% less of what it should be are all of these people with these HP-1 visas.
Exactly.
So I get it why they want to do it. It makes perfect sense because you're working on margins and you want to make more money. But it's amazing, and it's an indictment of our college system, isn't it, as well? Why can't our American kids learn how to do that? Yes, they can, obviously.
It's so true, though.
They lie to you.
It's so true what you're saying. Is talk about putting a button on the entire, administration of Joe Biden. You're right. Look at where we are. And guess what? It wasn't even structured in any way. I almost feel, like I said, there's no such thing as coincidences. That's the big thing everyone fought against in 2021. They said those people, the oil industry is dying and we're going to kill it. Those people can learn to code. That was a big, learning to code was a thing. And here we are right at the end of his administration.
Yep.
And the conversation is back to all of that coding that you made those people do. And guess what the liberals are doing now? Fighting to keep those H-1B visas so that those same kids that they told to learn the code can't get those jobs.
Exactly. That's why it's so amazing with the fire hose of lies and misrepresentations. But when something like this comes up, it's kind of like maybe the scales are coming off people's eyes and they can kind of see this because this one is so blatantly obvious.
Yeah,
it's
indeed.
so unbelievably obvious for what's happening. And not to only mention these people, when they get these jobs, these immigrants that come in for these visas, they're beholden to their employers for their green cards. So they'll work for like 5 years, however many hours at whatever dog crap rate, because it's less than what they should be making, and they hold it over their heads. And if they do put them up for their green card, then you get the chain migrations on top
But
of
look,
it.
I will say, I'll go so far, Rick, as to say this. Even though that's true, they are beholden to their employees and they work for the crap that they get paid. But I will tell you this, 9 times out of 10, and you know this, what do these guys end up doing? They end up leaving whatever job that they're, pretty much contracted to for whatever years they are. They go off and create another industry. Those guys always end up being millionaires. They just do.
It's crazy. I completely understand that. But it's so frustrating that they try to say that these people are high valued workers coming into this country, and they literally say that American people don't want to do that.
Yep.
They do. They do want to do those jobs, but you don't give them the jobs.
Yeah.
These big corporations, because they have this pipeline of people coming in to do it for 30% less.
And that's, it's another thing, Rick, that you're talking about that needs to be done on both ends. On the high-end jobs that are taking these H-1B visas, as well as the low-end jobs, the people who are taking the migrants or the illegals who are coming across the border. We need to put a stop in those industries. Those industries should be penalized for doing that, taking these low-wage workers and forcing them to give a livable wage to people who could do them right here in the United States. Because like I said, you pay those guys a reasonable salary. You give a kid $25, $35 an hour to work in those fields, to work on those crops, they'll take the jobs.
100%. I just wish that everybody would get to, honestly, I wish that the politics would really start focusing on working class and middle class economics, and that benefits the entire country. Back in the early 70s, we had I think it was under 5% foreign-born population.
Yeah.
And the middle class wages were at the highest levels that they ever were in the early 70s. Now we're at over 15, we're at like 17% foreign-born, and look at what the wages are. So, Matt, it's supply and demand.
That's all it is.
There's so many people fighting for these jobs. That's exactly what it is.
Yep.
And obviously, corporations and business they're gonna try to make their bottom line better,
Right.
and they're gonna hire the people that do it for less money.
You know what? It's funny. It's crazy because that's one of the biggest points that people make about this is that, people say it's like, oh, they pay women 77 cents on every dollar they pay a man. I was like, yeah, interestingly enough, why don't they just all hire women so they can pay them less? That's what these industries are doing. Such a good point. Thank you, sir. Fred's in Middletown. How you doing, Fred?
Hey. So you said that you prayed about it and you got on TIC there. I was reminded of the movie Forrest Gump. You remember Captain Dan had the fishing boat?
Yes.
And the shrimping boat. And Forrest prayed for him, and God wiped out all the competition. So Todd vanished, and you were Captain Dan.
I do believe that I am. Yes, there's a little bit of Lieutenant Dan in my story.
Lieutenant Dan. Yeah, you have a pretty good memory for details. I remember a fellow was saying, like, he was lamenting that there wasn't more of you on the radio. And I remember saying, yeah, don't worry about it. A man's gift make its way for him. So there it is.
Thank you so much, Fred. What was your highlight this year, if you had one?
Dude, I don't mark time, you know. I can't put it between, you know, January 1st of this year. You know, I don't do a time thing, man.
Okay. All right. No, and I'm with you too.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you something about that tomorrow. There's a very, very important lesson in what you're talking about. Because I believe that some people look at the new year the same way that they look at a new day. You know what I mean? It's like waking up in the morning, you know, sort of. I think someone yesterday who said, was talking about Jesus Christ once said, and I'm paraphrasing the way in which he put it. He says that putting off today's problems because tomorrow will have its own.
Oh, do not worry about tomorrow.
Yeah.
Today holds evil sufficient unto itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, that's a sardonic view.
So, yeah.
And real quick, what the hell was I going to say about something about Tom Shattuck? But a highlight of the year. I just remembered.
Okay.
A highlight of the year was just a couple weeks ago when I went and met Tom Shattuck at the Homewood Suites there and opened up the box of art that I had sent to Todd that he never picked up, that was sitting at the radio station TikTok. It was just a matter of time before it went in the dumpster. Tom grabbed it. We opened it up on the air. Mark was there passing my cartoons around. So that was like magical.
You know what? I'm glad you got an opportunity to do that. That's a great highlight. And I do want to see the artwork, by the way.
Oh, I think everyone clicked it. He clicked it. You know, everyone was taking pictures of it. Tom and Mark.
Okay,
yeah,
well then I'll text Tom. I'll text Tom after the show so I can get some photographs.
Yeah, I gave him a ton of it. I had like 50 pieces. It would have broken my heart if it had gone in a dumpster.
Yeah,
you know?
I hear you, buddy. Thank you, man.
All
I
right,
appreciate you,
thank
sir. Doc is in Harwington. How we doing, Doc?
Good. You're talking about a subject that's near and dear to my heart, the H-1B1 visas?
Yes.
Get rid of them.
Get rid of them entirely. Okay. So what do we force?
Here's why.
Do we force Americans into those jobs, or do we just do without those positions being filled if we can't get those Americans?
First of all, it's BS that they can't fill it with Americans.
I agree.
What's happening is people like me that are getting on in their years, they find that they can hire 3 H-1B1 people for me. And I've been laid off twice in the last couple of years because of that.
Because the younger people for less money.
They restructure.
Yeah, I know. I love that word. Don't even get me started on that word. That was, I'll never forget the first corporate job I ever had when I was, my entire contract. And if I can, I'm just going to tell you real quick. So I get this job looking for a company called Logistics Worldwide. It was my first corporate job ever. I'm 25 years old. It's a small company that's making about $1 million a year. I blow this thing up when I become the operation man. I started the job making $8 an hour as a phone operator. I ended up moving up to the operations manager of this small business, one office, right underneath the president, Paul Malamet. He pays me $30,000 a year. It's more money than I've ever seen in my entire life in 1996. And I'm really like, young man, no education. I am the boss. I'm running the whole thing. Of course, the company becomes so big, a larger company comes in and buys us. You'll know the company because you've seen their trucks. If you've ever seen a semi drive by with the word dynamic on it, that's the company that bought us. They're out of Canada. Now, they bought us because we were growing as a same-day logistics company, and they wanted to expand in that business. And we were kicking butt in this industry. So they buy us, and they tell me, they bring me out for dinner, and the executive at Dynamic says to me, hey, we're going to pay you the same, but you're not going to have the same power. And I said, what do you mean? He goes, we're restructuring your position, which in essence was saying, you are an overpaid lackey. Oh, it broke my heart. I'm in charge of no one. And guess what? That wasn't even the worst part, Doc. They had 2 guys who were the managers of their office who knew nothing about our industry, and I had to teach them how to do my job.
Well, now imagine how I feel. You know, I have my doctorate in engineering, hence the doc. Work with these H-1B1 people.
Man.
Educate them and then say, oh, we're restructuring.
And then you're out of there.
So, then I'm out of there, and I taught them a good part of what they know.
See, again, look, I feel for you because that was the reason why I left that company, because I knew it. And walking into work every day, like my pride was really, it ruined you. As a man, as a person, you feel diminished and just thrown away.
The last job, there's some humor to it because the guy I worked under, they restructured him out too, only they met him at his car.
Wow.
It took his badge and everything and didn't even let him go in the building.
Oh, that's humiliating.
But what they're finally realizing is they've lost too much solid knowledge.
Yes, that's exactly right. And guess what? They also, you know what? That's another thing that they lost. They lost somebody who can, in essence, I love this saying, is that you've got to learn how to ask for forgiveness instead of asking for permission, because that's how you run anything. And that's what they lost, because once you train everybody to work within the parameters, they're afraid to work outside of them. They're not critical thinkers, and they don't take chances.
And here, to that point exactly, there's a difference between having knowledge and knowing how to use
Exactly. You're 100% right. God, you know what? I feel kindred with you, Doc, right now. I feel like you and I have gone through this.
Haven't you always?
I think so.
Happy New Year.
I think this does totally solidify that. Thank you, Doc, man. Happy New Year, man. We'll see you tomorrow.
God bless.
God bless you, sir. Oh, man, that you have no idea. It's been 30 years since I worked in that business, and it still bothers me. It still does. I get hot every time I think about that company. I still do. If I'm in Manhattan and I drive by that old building, I toss it the middle finger every time. I was so aggravated about that job. I don't even know why. I should be over it. But they ruined. Oh, one day I will tell you the story about how I quit. It's not pretty. It wasn't pretty at all. Let's get another check of our traffic. Filling in for Mark Christopher today is Tom O'Hanlon in the BPS Traffic Center.
I'm Tom O'Hanlon from the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. 84 looks good both ways through Hartford. On the eastbound side, we're moving. Westbound also doing well. All across 84. Now 91 southbound, some good news in Rocky Hill. They've cleared an accident that had closed the southbound exit 23 ramp. It's open for business. 91 northbound, we're moving well. 291 is looking good, and Wilbur Cross also doing fine. Pretty light traffic on routes 2 and 3. Traffic and weather together on the 8s. WTIC News Talk 1080.
WTIC weather.
Now we'll get some rain during the evening, ending after midnight. Could impact outdoor New Year's Eve celebrations. The low down to 39. Then for New Year's Day, Wednesday, cloudy, breezy, still mild. We'll have a passing shower or two in the afternoon, the high of 50. Thursday, a mix of clouds and sun. It'll be windy and cooler and feeling cold with a high of 40 and a strong west wind. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina in the WTIC Weather Center.
Radio responded to the challenge of television
Lori,
with new
if you're
kinds
still
of
listening, we're
programming
going to talk about
show
that.
It could do
I'll
things
talk about
TV couldn't.
your low
One
light,
new format was the call-in talk show. While technically call-in shows
if you
were
can remember
possible
that day,
long
I
before
want
the
to find
50s,
that audio.
radio was carefully scripted, removing any chance of spontaneous listener-announcer interaction. Out of necessity, radio was becoming more relaxed, and in August of 1954, WTIC started to air the Miller Party Line, hosted by Ross Miller and his wife Betty. They talked with people from all walks of life, from sports to entertainment. With this show, WTIC started a format that became the mainstay of AM radio. In 1949, WTIC launched 2 more call-in shows, Mike Line, a radio roundtable where listeners responded to other listeners' questions and comments, and What's Your Opinion, the first issue-oriented call-in show. Talk radio as we know it started right here on WTIC. The United Way is proud to sponsor this moment in WTIC's history. Together, we are united to end poverty. Learn more at unitedwayinc.org.
And now, a WTIC news update.
44 degrees at 5:30. I'm Dave Mager, WTIC 1080 News. Some rain late tonight with temperatures in the 40s, low around 40 overnight. Fireworks, the sound of the new year in Dubai. Worldwide celebrations continue all the way through American Samoa, which will strike midnight at 6 a.m. our time. In Hartford, it's first night with a long list of events ongoing. Food trucks and vendors are out there on Trinity Street. The Bushnell Park Carousel and Winterfest ice skating are open. There are family-friendly art activities, live music, dancing, and more. And, of course, fireworks at 6 p.m. and midnight. More details at firstnighthartford.org. And yes, event director Jeff Devereaux says Everything is going on as planned despite the chance of rain tonight.
We're obviously crossing our fingers. There's no downpour, but we've shot the fireworks in the rain, even in a light rain before, and we'll do so again if need be.
And there's good news on that front. AccuWeather now predicting that the rain will start late tonight, moving in around midnight, later than earlier expected. It's lights out in Puerto Rico. There's a New Year's Eve blackout across the island. CBS's Alana Quinones is there.
At about 5:30 in the morning, a failure was reported at the Costa Sur power plant, an underground power line that left nearly all Puerto Ricans in complete darkness. The reason why this happened is yet to be determined, but with the New Year's Eve celebrations just a few hours away, people are getting anxious.
Power could take days to restore. More than 1.3 million customers are in the dark. A driver is dead after a late morning crash in Middlebury. 3 vehicles were involved in the crash at about 11 a.m. on Straits Turnpike, Route 63. 2 others are hospitalized. State police say an Ellington man died early this morning after a crash on Route 20 in Windsor. The car he was driving veered off the road and struck trees. The victim identified as 60-year-old James Engel. Wall Street closes out 2024 today. Dow is down 30 points. S&P dropped 25, the NASDAQ down 176. For the year, the Dow gained about 13%, S&P was up 24%, and the NASDAQ gained 31%. Sports, UConn basketball tomorrow afternoon, the men at DePaul, the women at Marquette. NBA Final, Boston wipes out Toronto 125-71, 7 Celtics players in double figures. For more, check out WTIC.com. I'm Dave Mager. WTIC 1080 News.
This holiday season, make Liquor Square in Unionville your one-stop shop. Liquor Square's got an incredible selection of wine, spirits, and craft beers to make your holiday celebration special. Stop by today or shop online for delivery at liquorsquareCT.com. Liquor Square, your holiday destination for great taste.
Hi, Joel Johnson here with Johnson Brunetti. Hey, retirement income. Are you sure that you're maximizing your retirement income? Get the retirement income checklist from us, absolutely free. Text the word checklist to 1-800-705-1232. Again, call or text the word checklist to 1-800-705-1232. A checklist to maximize your retirement income.
Investment advisory services offered through JB Capital, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Insurance products offered through JN Financial, LLC.
Since 1941, the Community Foundation of Greater New Britain has assisted individuals, families, and local organizations in central Connecticut with establishing charitable funds and scholarships that create a lasting and impactful philanthropic legacy. So if you've ever had the desire to learn how you can establish your own charitable fund or scholarship, go to our Community Foundation of Greater New Britain website at cfgnb.org. That's cfgnb.org.
Have you ever tried something for the first time? How you ever got along without it? That's how thousands of new Navage users describe their first experience. Once they feel sinus relief and can breathe clearly again, many wonder why it took them so long to experience the Navage difference. Navage uses refreshing saline and gentle suction to quickly suck out mucus, germs, and other airborne irritants. Stop suffering from congestion and start feeling better again with Navage. Brand new look, same great product.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting with the whoops. And now a speech.
I just want to say that friendship is about heart and brain. Who's with me?
Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
And my brain is saying, when it's time to go home,
Love that guy.
Me too.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
The Odyssey app lets you jump back to the moments you missed from WTIC News Talk 1080. Download the free Odyssey app, search WTIC News Talk 1080, and tap earlier today to get started.
Ooh, I like it. Perfect timing for what had happened was. Brought to you by the Odyssey app. That's why Roland is the best producer ever. Threw that little ad in there for what had happened was. Brought to you by the Odyssey app. What had happened was we began the show by the opening monologue, of course, talking about where we are today versus where we used to be. A retelling of the Jimmy Carter legacy. We talked about that with some audio from Scott Jennings at CNN. We took a couple of phone calls about that. Also, at the 4 o'clock hour, we talked about the stupidest thing I read today, which was New Jersey schools are now getting rid of reading and writing and math requirements in order to be a teacher. We then went to talk about a young lady by the name of Alicia Ortiz, who is now suing Hartford, Connecticut, and the Board of Education in Hartford because she does not know how to read or write, and she was graduated out of the school system in Hartford and even sent to UConn, where they had to remove her from the school because, of course, she cannot read or write. We are going to have Alicia and her attorney, Anthony Spinelli? Yeah, I think that's his name. We're going to have them on the show after, I think it's next week, Monday. I think we're going to have them on the show. At least we'll have Anthony on, her lawyer, but I think Alicia's going to come on as well. We'll talk to her about her lawsuit and the stuff that's going on there. The 5 o'clock focus, of course, is about what were your highs and lows of 2024. And one of the things I want to mention here was because, I didn't know this, we had a guest on the show last month in November. And it was a woman by the name of Barbara Plant who came on the show to talk about human trafficking. You remember I spoke to Justin Elliker, the mayor of New Haven, about illegals in the country. And that went off to the story that we found out about two people, a man and a woman, who are being charged with human trafficking in Connecticut and in the New Haven area. Goodness gracious, my microphone. Barbara came on the show to talk about human trafficking. It is her passion to get people out of that industry. And we just found out from Lori in the chat room that she did pass away in November after her appearance here. She had stage 4 cancer. She was on our show. But Lori said that was one of the lowlights of the year. Highlight was another thing. We'll talk about that in a second. With that, we'll get back to the BPS Traffic Center with Tom Hanlon filling in for Mark Christopher in the BPS Traffic Center.
I'm Tom O'Hanlon from the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. Well, if you hit the road for New Year's Eve, you're doing pretty well so far. 84 is looking good both ways through Hartford. The rest of 84, no major problems. Now, 91 southbound, you're okay as you're working your way down into Hartford. And also, they cleared that crash down at Rocky Hill on the southbound exit 23 ramp. It had been closed, but now it's open. 91 northbound, we're looking good. 291 has a nice ride. Wilbur Cross, we are moving along quite well. And the traffic's been pretty easy on routes 2 and 3. Traffic and weather together on the 8s. WTIC News Talk 1080.
WTIC weather.
Well, as we head into early this evening, clouds will be increasing across the region. It will be mild. Then for tonight, periods of rain throughout the evening hours ending after midnight. Outdoor New Year's Eve celebrations and travel can be impacted by the rainfall. A low temperature later tonight, about 39 degrees. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy, breezy, and mild. A passing shower or two in the afternoon with a high around 50. Tomorrow night, some clouds and breezy, low 35. Then chillier on Thursday with clouds and sun, a gusty wind, high 40. Friday and Saturday, look for sunshine, a few clouds, breezy conditions, highs in the mid to upper 30s. Right now, it's 48 in Newington, 45 in Manchester, and 46 in Hartford. This is meteorologist Bob Smerbeck in the WTIC Weather Center.
Sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Make sure your family is well taken care of with life insurance. Protect your phones, laptops, and more with electronic device insurance, and cover your furry friends with pet health insurance. Join us this Sunday for Tumulo Financial, your go-to for retirement planning and taxes. Tune in to the father and son duo from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. or catch the replay from 5 to 6 p.m. Tumulo Financial Retirement Planning with Integrity on WTIC News Talk 1080.
Hi, I'm Joe with SimpleSaleUSA.com, and I buy houses cash. If you own a house and want to sell it fast at a fair price, call me at 203-896-4000. I can pay cash and close in as little as 7 days. I buy houses in any condition, any price range, and more importantly, anywhere in Connecticut. I'm a private real estate investor who buys several houses a month, and I want to buy more. I buy inherited houses, divorce houses, behind in payment houses. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. Do you own a house that is trash and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great, because I love buying junk houses. I buy vacant houses, abandoned houses, condemned houses, and even foreclosure houses. If you own a house and want to sell it fast, call me at 203-896-4000. That's 203-896-4000. 203-896-4000.
We all hear the radio. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6481. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 five-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at tra.com or call 800-575-6481. Here we go. 800-575-6481. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
What's up, everybody? You know who it is.
You know who it is.
You know who it is. It's Reese on the radio. Frederick Douglass of the 21st century.
It's WTIC News Talk 1080.
Oh! Thank you so much. It's been an incredible year. Reese on the radio, News Talk 1080, WTIC. Mary Ann, all the way out in Woodbridge, Virginia. Happy New Year's to you, Mary Ann, to Travis and all of our friends back at Blackburn. We miss them so much. Again, I want to make sure that I say this again about Barbara Plant, who was a guest on the show. I did not know that she had passed away, but I'm going to find the audio. Lori, if you remember what date Barbara was on, that would be very helpful to me. Send it to me privately if you can. Just send me a message on Facebook. If you can remember the date that she was on, I'd love to get that audio, if not to you, but maybe somebody from her family of something, something that they can share, or at least a moment that she had on the show, because I know that, as you wrote here, she was very passionate about the fight against human trafficking. So I will find the way to get that audio. Yeah, it may have been in October, whenever it was. But if you can remember, if somebody can remember that date, I will look it up and see see if I can find it as well. So anyway, we're taking your phone calls, highlights and lowlights of 2024 as we embark on the new year, as we're about to, yes, I'm going to say it again, kick it live for the 2-5. And also keeping it 100 with WTIC. WTIC turns 100, so keeping it 100. I know I'm going to get a phone call from someone that goes, could you please stop saying that? Let's go to Craig in the car. What's going on, buddy?
Wow, lots of highs and lows this year, huh? Can
Yeah,
you believe
it was full of them. It was full of them.
Well, the return of Trump, the return of the alpha.
Yeah,
I think those are two highlights. But let me wax nostalgic with you just for a minute.
Okay.
So let's rewind back into, I think it was 1993. I got my first outside sales position.
Okay.
And I found myself driving around the state of Connecticut, and I don't know how it happened, but I found Rush Limbaugh.
Okay.
And that guy was my wingman. And a few years ago, when he passed, it felt like I lost a friend.
Yeah.
You probably felt the same way.
It's exactly how I felt.
And then, you know what happens? This guy Reese shows up on the same station in a similar time slot, and I got a friend back again. And, I'm not on the road anymore, but I sit in front of a computer. I'm a desk jockey. And, I love to stream radio during the day. You're kind of my companion. So
yeah,
that's an upside for me. So I appreciate what you do for everybody.
Thank you, man. Thank you. That means a great deal, and in being in any conversation with Uncle Rush is huge for me. I will always try to live up to his standard. I know I don't always meet it, but that would always be the measure of me on this platform and in this medium. I love him.
Well, so it's a companionship thing.
Yeah.
Right? We have similar ideas. We don't agree all the time, and we can disagree. And
you come after me all the time, buddy.
That's my obligation.
Oh,
Make
no,
you
and
know.
I love it. Trust me. I say it just like I feel about Fred. Like, Fred, I remember the first time my wife ever heard Fred correct me on something. It was like, that doesn't bother you in any way? I was like, man, you kidding me? That's what this is all about. Like, this is about, that's what I love about this thing.
I hate following Fred, the hippie poet. I can't stand it.
And that's said with love, Fred, by the way. It's said with love.
Yeah, absolutely, 1,000%. Happy New Year, my friend, to you and yours.
Thank you, man, and to you and your, great family, because I know there's a bunch of them, whether or not they show up for Christmas and Thanksgiving or not. I'll send my best to every one of them, sir.
Thank you, sir.
You got it. I will say this, man. I'll tell you that this is, I said this story before. There's a movie called Talk to Me starring Don Cheadle, and he plays a Washington, D.C. radio host. It's based on true events during the riots after Martin Luther King Jr. was killed. He was, the character, his name is Petey, was well respected for calming the streets after the riots took place in Washington, D.C. after the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. But if you watch that film, Talk to Me, it's really, really good. There's this line in the movie where the program director says to Petey, he goes, "Remember, don't ever let the audience be smarter than you." And I took great offense to that. Rush Limbaugh was one of those guys that said, "I'm a highly trained radio professional," he would say. And I love that, but he never, ever let his audience think or even sort of broach the idea that his audience wasn't intelligent. He gave them all the credit that they deserved, and he gave them all the kudos they deserved. He loved his audience. I know he did. And I feel the same way about you guys. So I'm not here to be smarter than you. I'm hoping to be as smart, if anything. So that's the way I'll always feel about that. Kim is in Cromwell. How are we, Kim? Happy New Year.
All right. I just want to mention this stuff with the H-1 visas and the immigration stuff. All Americans want people to come over legally. You have to have a high standard there. You cannot just make things easy because you're presenting some utopian situation.
Yeah.
Politicians are just after votes. There. What we have to be careful of, and we have been going down this dangerous road, is the outsourcing of our country is very dangerous to our future to survive. In particular, the Social Security Fund. If we cannot get American citizens to work in some fashion at a decent enough wage to keep that system going, those FICA taxes will not accrue and the system will break. And then what politicians will do is they will panic, and then they will create more of this current system of redistribution from Paul and Peter. And it never catches up with itself. It becomes a vicious cycle.
Kim, can I go one step further on what you're talking about?
Yes.
Let me go one step further, and you tell me, and I want your opinion on this, but as you're talking, my brain's moving. I feel like, remember, if we actually get to that calamity that you're talking about, we don't get those people paying into the system to pay for Social Security. I almost feel like what we may have to happen is the same thing that we're seeing in Canada and in Europe. And that's this program called MAID. Are you familiar with it?
No, I'm not.
Okay, MAID is called Medical Assistance in Death.
Okay, now I've heard of it. Yes.
It's euthanasia.
Yes. My my former boss at DSS predicted this about 25 years ago. He could see this because it seems to be an unfortunate desire in our country with certain people in office. They want to look like they're helping the folks. And they want to say, I don't want you to stress. You won't have to work because I'll go get the money from Bill Gates and Elon and give it to you, and you will vote for me because you don't have to ever make a decision again.
Chris Murphy.
But the money runs out, and you end up bringing down everybody's standard of living. It doesn't produce work ethic. To me, it's very dehumanizing to do that to anybody.
Exactly right.
And while understanding you'll always have a need for a safety net there, but the way they keep developing these conundrums, I predicted it like back in 1992. It seems like that's the desire, to get people to just stay home, get a check, and then they will scramble and print money and then just try to get it from this person. Because whenever you can take your emotions out on somebody like an Elon Musk, you look very popular when you go out after rich people and say, I'm going to take it from him, give it to somebody else, and now canonize me because I am God. And that's not the way to run a society. And that's the most dangerous thing.
You know what? It's funny because I think that what you're talking about is another great, in essence, the nanny state, right? So in essence, all the plebes are sitting around waiting for someone else to hand them everything. And I think another thing that they're doing is sort of suggesting them that there's a human sacrifice in all of this that becomes very attractive to these people.
Yes,
I think the climate
that has become the philosophy of the current Marxists in our society.
Yes.
Is that wouldn't it be better if we have some moral arbiter, the government, to provide everything for everyone, and you don't have to worry. And what they don't understand is how math works here, is you never have enough producers to satisfy anybody's standard of living because it does require a standard of living. And so everybody's ration gets so squeezed and dumbed down that you're barely existing. It's like, why bother having humankind?
Yeah, exactly. And that's the next, right, the great frontier. It works itself into euthanasia. It works itself into what they call death, not even death squads, but death panels, if you will.
Exactly. That is where Europe is going. Canada, too.
Exactly.
And that's what's at the heart of the climate debate.
Yep.
It's about getting people to disappear from the planet.
Indeed. Thank you so much, Kim. Wow. You know what? It's not so much daunting as it is being revealed, because I think that's what people are starting to recognize. But thank you nonetheless. I appreciate you. Let's go to Chris is in Berlin. Hello, Chrissy. Happy New Year.
Hi. Happy New Year's Eve to you.
So how we doing?
We are doing wonderful.
That's fantastic. I know what your highlight is for this year. Do you care to share it?
But there's more than that.
Okay.
And I would like to share this with you.
Okay, you got to tell Fritz to turn me down in there. I can hear myself.
I'll go outside.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Okay, is this better?
Right. Yeah, much better. Go ahead.
Okay, so another highlight was meeting you.
Oh.
And you shared with me about your JC keep JC in your heart, and you helped me find my JC, which is pretty incredible.
And don't forget, you also became a grandmother this year.
I did.
That's a big
Sober
deal.
this year. I never, ever have. Oh, I'm so excited.
You should. And the baby's doing fine, healthy, happy?
Oh, yeah, and gorgeous. Yes, all of the above. Mom's great, Dad's great. It's wonderful.
Well, you tell them to have a wonderful new year. I hope you guys are all spending it together. And to be honest, go ahead, Chrissy. I'm sorry.
Today, tomorrow.
Okay, well, whenever.
Not today, but tomorrow.
Just when you get to hang out with them, please send them my best for a prosperous new year. And don't worry, we're going to see each other. In fact, my wife and I were having a conversation yesterday on our walk, which I'm going to also talk about tomorrow. We are going to do what's called a airplane fund, but I'll explain it to you tomorrow. So you have to make sure that you're here, okay?
Will do.
All right. I love you guys.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to
Love
you.
you too.
You got it. We'll talk to you soon. We're going to have an amazing 2025. I promise you, without a doubt. Okay, it looks like we have a secret squirrel. Is this? Should we? Nah, you know what? I'm not going to risk it. Never mind. We're about to get up out of here. So, all right. On tomorrow's program, we've got a top 10 list. We've also got what I consider the top 5. It's Reese on the Radio's top 5 on WTIC. These are moments that happen throughout the year that were highlights for me because I made some predictions that people didn't think was going to happen, and they did. And, you know, all of these wizards of smart, all of these people who know anything and everything there is, turned out they didn't know nothing. They knew nothing. And there were a couple of things that I predicted that definitely showed up. I think I had a fantastic 2024, but I'm really, really excited for 2025. We're going to go through the inauguration here, which is going to be fantastic. I can't wait for that on the 20th. We got a whole bunch of stuff to get into, folks. And Roland's going to be here, and we're going to do some features with Roland. He doesn't know this yet, but I have got some great stuff planned for Roland. He is going to be, listen to me, Roland is.
And you don't know it yet. I have some stuff planned for you.
You have stuff planned for me, too? Oh, I like this.
Uh-huh.
This is fantastic. Okay, good. I'm going to tell you, Roland, in case you haven't heard, I hate surprises. This is the reason why I like it. This is the reason why I like it, too, is because I hate surprises. But usually, I'm pleasantly surprised, even though I hate surprises. It sounds weird. Bushwhacker says, remember when Dr. Kevorkian was the bad guy for assisted in dying? Yes, I do. Sokolowski, hey, Happy New Year to you as well. Chuck D is in the house. You have a great New Year's as well. We'll see you tomorrow. Fritz, actually, I want to say congratulations to Fritz. In 2024, he became a beekeeper. I don't know anybody who would have chose that career, but he's fantastic about it. He's got a lot of info on that as well. All right, folks, it's time for me to get up out of here. As I always say, radio is free, so we thank you for paying attention. Remember to keep JC in your hearts and in your minds. Sean Patrick, we love you and we miss you. Remember that panic is not planning, so plan your work and work your plan. Me, I'm Reese on the radio. You have a good night tonight. Happy New Year. I'll be ringing it in with you, I promise. And I can't wait to see you next year. Okay? Be good to each other. Let's get back to the traffic with Tom O'Hanlon filling in for Mark Christopher in the BPS Traffic Center. Good night, guys.
I'm Tom O'Hanlon from the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. 84.
All right, good sir.
Thank you.
Have a happy one.
Yeah, man, I'm going to do my damn best.
Yay.
All right,
Eastbound
man.
84.
See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
91 is moving nicely both ways through Hartford
Or see you in 2025.
Yeah, right.
City. On
You got it.
291, it's been a very easy ride today. Wilbur Cross is looking good. Routes.
All right, folks. I love it. I love it. I love it. Brass City. Boris, I promise I'm going to remember that. I saw it in the what's name, but I didn't even know you were here because if it doesn't come up on the screen, I didn't see it. So I appreciate you guys. Yes, honey, next spring. Thank you, Fritz. I can't wait. My wife is looking forward, by the way, to it. All right, you guys have a wonderful date, 6 hours, and it'll be here, okay? You guys be good, be crazy. Michael A., thank you so much. Happy to all of you as well. All right, now I got to get out of here because I got to take my walk. Bye, guys. I love you.